It's a place where you can get Italian pies and different types of Italianry. So if you look around your life and you're Greek or you're Jewish or you're Sweden or something like that, or you're Tahitian or whatever, then you can change that up in a second by stopping at 1811 Pico Boulevard and filling your mouth with some of that swaggy Italian gray block pizza. Get that hitter. This episode is brought to you also by this company called Ridge Wallet. And Ridge Wallet, it's that fancy front lump. People want that baby back. They want that little baby back hump, that old school wallet. You put it in your back pocket and it just rides your butt. Next thing you know, 4 years later, you're sitting all lopsided. You know what I'm saying? You can't even, you have to put a little piece of wood plank under your other butt cheek to even make yourself even. So you can comfortably digest your food because your body is so lopsided from not having the correct posture and everything you need to eat correctly because you've been having that rear butt hump, that rear wallet. Well, change it up now. Get that front pocket carry, the Ridge Wallet. It's practical, it's easy, and I use it. And honestly, I like it. And it's bulletproof. So if somebody's shooting at you, it's not very big, so it can be hard to block a bullet. But if you can line it up with the bullet, then you'll be able to maybe stop that bullet. RidgeWallet.com/Theo for 10% off your order. RidgeWallet.com/Theo. I'm out here in the middle of nowhere, man. But suddenly I'm right here with you guys. And I feel like I know exactly where I am. I'm not lost anymore. You feel me? Suddenly, I'm just found. Higher than a junkie drying out in Savannah. Lord, I hope I don't die in Alabama. Thank you guys for being here. It is, it's summer. Look, I'm coming at you from, I've been in rural Illinois all weekend in a town called Wyoming, Illinois. And it's the second year in a row that we've come out here and done some stand-up, doing the jokes and doing the joy, and man, let me tell you this. Last year we came and most of the townspeople came. And this is a small town. You know what I'm saying? This is a small town where if somebody farts across town and if you're not there to hear it, a few hours later, somebody will just tap you on the shoulder when you're over at the gas station and be like, well, you heard what happened, didn't you? And you're like, what? And they're like, well, Lawrence, he farted. So it's that kind of place. You can't even fart without somebody telling somebody else about it. You'll hear people just, reenacting other people's farts around town just because it's that kind of place. You know what I'm saying? If somebody sneezes upwind of you, even if it's a mile away, then you'll hear somebody, you'll hear a gazoon down the hill. It's that kind of place where, everything's connected. It's all, everything is just, everything's connected, man. Like you'll even see, you'll see birds and they look like they've been there a while. Like in Los Angeles, I see a bird and it's like, oh, this fucker's just passing through, he's just flying around and maybe, shitting a little and stuff like that and copping a little bit of seed and maybe, trying to fuck a falcon or something down by the beach. But after that, he's going to jet town. But you're out here and, I'm in these rural areas, and it seems like, and you see a bird and you're like, oh, okay, this his area, this his block around here. Maybe he's a parent or a granddaddy. I saw a sparrow look like he probably had a couple stepchildren, but everything has more of a story because everything has more room to have a story. I think about that stuff sometimes, like in a smaller town, it's, I don't know, I just get so dialed in. And everything just feels like, say if you're driving past a park in a small town, the toys in the park and the swings and the slide, they suddenly stand out. Like, they have room to breathe. They mean something. You know, they hold memories of people's pasts and of children in the springtime, or on a fall day when school got out early and the kids hit the park. It just or the swing set, it might be like, oh, it's that swing set holds memories of like a boy, first time he swang next to a girl. Because you remember that. I don't know if you remember that. I remember being in elementary school. And I was in elementary school. Some kids didn't go to school at all. I mean, they had a boy in our town didn't go to school at all. And people thought he was deaf and he just didn't know anything. So I don't know whatever happened to him, dude. Probably, honestly, could have gotten hit by a car, because if you don't know about school, man, you easily, could not know how streets work, or could not know how basic, how to deal with automobilery when it's, passing by. But anyhow, yeah, and I remember the first time I would swing on a swing set next to a girl, like my whole body, the side of my body next to the girl was just like, just almost rigor mortis had set in. Just rigor mortis, my whole body, just like all the blood was over there, just like listening for her heartbeat. That side of my body was just so heavy. The swing she was closest to next to me, suddenly, like, the other side of my body had just gone bleach white, and that other side of my body where she was, all the blood had run over there. I was just listening, just trying to get as close to this, young lass as I could, because I was feeling, it's just what I was feeling. I mean, I was just feeling alive. And I think that that's what you see whenever you're in a smaller town. Things just stand out more. And things have more room to breathe. You see a tree and you're like, oh, that tree, somebody has a story that goes with it. Or, oh, my grandfather and I used to sit under there and, we used to read or think about stuff. Or, my uncle used to hide behind there and, year ago, or whatever he wanted to do, drink lemonade or something like that. Or just, make homemade tires or whatever he wanted to do, comb his hair, put motor oil in his hair and comb his hair and wear fucking tight shirts, and put fucking sand, put sand in his shoes and just pretend he was at the beach. I mean, everybody, but I just feel like in a small town, you get more stories. You get more, I don't know, things just have more room. And I feel like that, man. When I'm in the cities, when I'm in some of the city, you feel a little bit more. You ever put a file in a zip drive? You ever do that? If you're emailing somebody, you'd send them a group of files at once, but you can zip drive it. And it's the same information. It's just like air sealed, kind of. It's like compact. That's how I feel when I'm in the city. There's just no room, even sometimes, for my imagination to reach its arms out of my brain and just, pet the world. And that's something that drives me crazy sometimes. And I feel like I'm not going to get that. I'm not going to get that space. I'm not going to get any of that brain. I'm never going to have that again. And then I come to a town like I did this weekend, over here to Wyoming, Illinois. And man, this place 1,600 people. And I came here last year. And it's the town could probably use a little bit of diversity here and there. It's definitely a little bit, it's got a little bit, it's definitely got some old school white in it. But it's good people, I mean, most of the people are just friendly, just loving people. You see a lot of people up here that raise foster children and do that sort of thing. A lot of people are, have church as part of their lives, or religion of some sort. It could be whatever their religion is. But I think in smaller towns, there's just more, it feels like there's more room for anything. And I had a good time, man. It was nice just to, suddenly just feel human. Because in Los Angeles, things can get so unhuman. I have a lot of great friends in Los Angeles, but I'm just saying there's so much going on. it's almost like time and Mother Nature and life cannot keep it all organized. And when you're in LA, it feels like the world is just kind of juggling a million things at once. And when you're out here, it feels like the world has just like kind of set the balls down on the ground, and the balls can rest. They don't have to be flying around in the air anymore. So it's just nice, man. It's nice to be a part of it. And it's nice to get into a place and feel like I'm okay in these places. You know, driving past cornfields and reminding me when I used to, you know, plant corn and cotton, and you know, seeing you know, driving by a fair, you know, drove by like a small town, one of those carnivals, you know, those shady carnivals come to town, and it's usually a lot of alcoholics and people on, you know, different type of methamphetamines, and people, you know, hopped up on uppers, basically trying to keep goldfish alive, traveling from town to town. And you see one of those go on, and just reminded me of time I used to be out there, you know, trying to touch a little bit of titty or vomit behind a super slide. Just things, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm from a smaller place, I see a smaller place and it reminds me. But it's also nice to know that I don't feel disconnected from those places. You know, I don't. And that's something I worry about a lot of times, like about how I change, or how I can change from living in a city or living in one place. You know, and how you become more accustomed to things. Because as humans, man, we become accustomed so easily. It's so, like people always say, don't forget where you came from. You don't forget where you come from, but you get used to feeling like where you are. You know, it's amazing how adaptable we are, and how I bet you can go forward and backward. And that's, you know, life's exciting like that. Dude, we got a crazy week coming. We got Jordan Peterson coming in. A lot of people are really excited about that, and I'm grateful. You know, he's coming in this week. And he's a premier thinker. You know, I was just talking with my buddy Simon Rex about him, and he if you're not familiar with him, you know, you can check out Jordan Peterson. He's a speaker, he's a brain, he's a mouth, he's a orator, he's a thinker, he's a philosopher. And he's a professor in Canada. But you know, I think he has this voice that that, like, I don't know, a lot of men from my generation feel like it almost seems like they were fatherless, or they weren't getting the fatherly advice that they needed. And I feel like it's a lot of those men that go towards him right now and are listening to him. It's like, you know, even though he's Canadian, he's like America's number 2 stepdaddy. You know, I know Simon Rex likes to say he's the number 1. But anyhow, man, I've had a good time this weekend. You know, so many people came out to the show in Wyoming last year when I was there, and it's a fundraiser show. My mother grew up in this small town, and so we do fundraiser to keep the theater and the history and the arts department alive here in this town. And man, you know, last year a lot of the locals bought tickets, and this year people came from everywhere. You know, we had a father-son. They said they were father-son. I thought they might have been up to something, you know, a little bit of that dark arts. But they said that they had the same blood in each one of their bodies. So they came out. People drove in from St. Louis, Wisconsin, Chicago. I mean, I would say 85% of the tickets were bought not from people in the town. So it was just incredible. You know, we all some dudes showed up, a couple of young bucks, these fellas from Chicago. They were outside of the theater trying to get an Uber at the end of the night. And I'll tell you this, there's no Ubers. I mean, this is an area we still have to hitchhike. You know what I'm saying? That Uber, you got one Uber on each hand, daddy. That's that thumb. You got to use that, you know, that beautiful thumb ship. And these fellas were out there. They're like, yeah, we got water and we got trail mix. We'll be fine. I'm like, good luck, dude. You guys probably gonna get accosted or molested, but sometimes that happens, you know. And sometimes that makes you feel right at home. If you get, you know, somebody that you don't know, but with, you know, seem to have a big heart, kind of sneaks up and jerks you off. That can make you feel kind of, you know, part of an area. Yeah, I had fun. Just, you know, my brother brought a bunch of crawfish up here from Louisiana, And so we did a crawfish boil up here so people could be a part of that. And so it's been a peaceful weekend. I got to see my nephews and my niece and just spend time with my family and people that I love. And so, and people that we haven't always had that family closeness. So as it comes into my life now, I have to show up for it. I mean, there's times where I want to not get, take it, take the nap, I got to show up. I just got to be there with my eyes open and my heart open and just hope to catch some little pieces of love that are floating around when people get together. And that's another thing in these smaller towns, man. People, dude, I didn't realize this. Like without they only get 4G on their phones. Like my phone has had 4G for the past 3 days. Okay, so it's really hard you're not watching a ton of stuff on your phone because you can't do it. It doesn't even work. So you're just like, fuck all that, and you just spend time with who you're around. And that's not as easy to do in a city, so it's just, suddenly I get a little bit more of an inkling of just myself. And I start getting just more ideas pop into my head. I get an idea. Like, oh, where's that been? But if I get so much influence, then it's less ideas, because, an idea is just influence from inside of yourself. But, we get so influenced from the outside these days that it's like ideas are like, damn, they've been run out of town. So it was, I found myself getting a few more ideas because I just adapt so quick, you take away one thing and your brain will get back pretty quickly, I believe. Even though I worry we get trapped in this wormhole these days with technology. And that song on the way in, that was Alabama by Bishop Gunn. You guys know that band, but Alabama by Bishop Gunn. We'll have the link to them below. If you have calls for Jordan Peterson, make sure to get them into the hotline, 985-664-9503. And you can always leave calls for any of our guests there or on the fan line. And the fan line is where you can leave video questions for our guests. And that link is on the YouTube page. Also, make sure to subscribe to the podcast. We need subscribers. We could use any support. As well, if you have a product that you feel like would be dope that you want to advertise on the podcast, hit us with an email. There's an email on the website on theovon.com. What else, man? I'm just trying to navigate this industry. This Hollywood is a sneaky industry. It's a sneaky industry. And I'm just trying to navigate it as well as I can. And it's tough, man. And it's tough, but I'm grateful. I'm realizing more and more that some of the acquaintances that I have around me, that they just want to make good stuff. And a lot of it, sometimes it's just me. I just have to trust, so much. Sometimes I want to be so individualistic sometimes that might not even be to my benefit sometimes, that I just need to learn to be more trusting. And to know that I've noticed one thing, more things get done when I don't try to do things alone. Man, for so long in my life, I was like, I got to do this shit alone. I can handle it. I could handle it, Susan. Even I don't even know a Susan, and I would say that kind of shit. But the truth is, yes, I can handle it. But I can also not be alone while I handle it. And that's something that I'm just kind of grasping recently. But man, my brain is rattled. I'm all over the place. I've been on vacation, but I wanted to be here for you guys because I know that you guys are here for me. And it's wild, man. So many people are listening these days, and so many beautiful people came out to the show this weekend that just love the podcast. A couple that was about to move to Houston. There were 4 or 5 ladies that all work in an office together, and I loved, I thought that was fun. Man, my first job I ever had, I used to, the same girl, actually, I've told this story before. There was a girl that kind of masturbated me into a creek or into the first hand job that I ever got. This girl give me a hand job, and I don't just say this girl. It wasn't just like some floozy. It was, the love of my life at the time. But she hand jobbed me into this, river, part of a river. But it was like part of a river where it kind of comes off to the side, like a little, just like a little pond, like a bay, like a little, like not the main part of the river, a little part where the river kind of reaches off and doesn't do anything over there. Like part of the river that's always resting kind of off to the side in like a little hole. But anyway, this girl kind of hand jobbed me into that deal, and they had some fish in there, and the fish swam up, and the part where the part of my body that had sprayed out into the water, the fish snacked on that. They ate up all my adventure sauce or whatever was inside of my body. And what's this story about? Damn, I can't remember what this story's about. What the fuck was I talking about? I was talking about shit. Something about sexual. This some people that came out to the show. Fuck, I don't know how I got in it. Something about a hand job, but yeah, all types of people came out to the show, and it was just, because I remember this girl that I dated, that girl that hand jobbed me into that passive area of water. I used to work at, with one of her family members, and they gave me one of my first jobs. And I was, I worked as like a office clerk. And so I'd be out there doing clerk office type stuff. And I worked in an office with 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 ladies. And a couple of them always had carpal tunnels, and a couple of them always, had on a neck brace or some kind of shit because we worked in insurance or something. And so everybody was always faking something at the same time because they were so close to insurance that everybody passing a neck brace around that bitch like a joint, like a big smoking, a big smoking horse leg full of that dank. And everybody, wearing that neck brace and suing this and getting that and getting them checks and cutting that money and getting them checks. And what happened to me was that I worked over there, and I worked in an office with, 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 ladies. And it was always somebody's birthday, it's Donna's party, or it's Donna, or it's Margaret, or, Sandra's husband, got electrocuted because he worked with the electric company, and he also smoked a lot of weed. How about this, Sandra's husband? Don't fucking do those things at the same time. That is crazy, bro. You're gonna smoke weed and then play with electricity? Oh, fuck no, you're not, guy. That's crazy. So anyhow, but I worked over there. That was a place that I worked at. And so, yeah, we had a lot of neat people that came out, man. People drove in. They had a couple that's moving to Houston together. They weren't going to be able to come see me in Chicago. They drove out. Some kids were on LSD. They came out and kind of got scared, and they left. We had a couple senior citizens. One man said he didn't think he'd be alive next year to see the show, so he wanted to come out this year. I was like, damn, bro. I don't know. We don't offer like a discount on ticket for that thing. That death discount, that deaths count. Like, dude, you get 40% off. You think you're not going to be alive next year? Mark down tickets, 40% off. So that was interesting. But yeah, it was just good, man. And then next thing you know, I just get to be, I stayed at this beautiful little place. Like, it's usually like a huge rental hall or whatever, and got to stay out there, and just a lot of love in the air, man. Just a lot of love. Just being around family and being around just people relaxing and enjoying. People just looking at each other eating potato salad. There's something about watching somebody. And this one man, he got all kind of pea salad. And I call it pea salad for short instead of saying potato salad all the time, because sometimes I'm in a hurry. And he got that pea salad up in his up in his word curtain, up in his mustache. And he fell asleep. And dude, it's kind of, I'm not a real pervert. I've played one and I'll do that kind of thing, but I've never, I don't have any plan to be anything crazy, but it's hard to think of that somebody isn't. If you see a man fall asleep and he's got that yellow mustard in his stash and he just dozed off with a plastic fork in his hand. I mean, I don't want to say it's erotic because it's not. It's just really, that's the dark arts. When you see a man with a mustache and he's been just having some pea salad, and then he just dozes off, because he can't handle, maybe it's got too much egg in it or too much, maybe some other kind of shit it's in it. I don't even know what the fuck's in pea salad, but he can't handle it all, and so he dozes off. His brain shuts down. He closes down shop for a little bit and shuts his eyes. And then you see it, but in his mustache, he's still got that yellow thick, just hanging out up in his word curtain, and he can't hang, and he can't live life. And that's probably a pervert. So, but yeah, I got to see one of those this weekend, and that's fun. That's family. That's family. But look, I'm going to keep this episode. We had some calls that came in. I'm going to get to some of those because my brain's a little all over the place, and I want to get it done for you guys. I'm going to let you know first and foremost that next weekend I'll be in Oxnard, California. Then I'm in China. And China's a big, huge country, and all kind of stuff happens over there. And I'm going to be one of the things that's happening over there. And some people say China. Some people say China, and China is nothing. It's not a real thing. So it's China, and I'll be over there July 12th through the 14th. So if you have any friends over there that live in Shanghai or Xiamen, hit them up. Tell them, hey, go see my friend. Also coming up, I'll be in Raleigh, North Carolina, Minneapolis, Chicago, Nashville, Toronto, Appleton, Wisconsin, Buffalo, Salt Lake City, Washington, D.C., and we already said Minneapolis. Minneapolis show's almost sold out, so we might be adding a second show there. I don't know yet. But thank you guys for coming out. You're putting a lot of pressure on me to keep coming up with new material and stuff, but I'm grateful for it, because it makes me feel more challenged. And that makes me feel, it makes me feel excited. It's scary. It's scary to know if my brain will have more ideas. That's something that scares me a lot, thinking, well, am I going to run out of ideas? Am I going to run out of, memories? Am I going to run out of memories that are good memories that I can tell a story about? It's alarming. I guess it's just like a painter thinking, oh, well, what if all the paint doesn't exist tomorrow? What if they dry up or they shut down a couple colors? What if fuchsia or magenta goes out of business? What if Roy GBF goes under? And then I'm just standing here just with nothing on my palette. So yeah, it's scary, but I guess that's the excitement, is a little bit of that fear, having 1 foot out in the fear instead of 2 feet on the dock, Because I'll say this, man, and I don't mean to go back to this a little bit perverse, but when that girl sprayed me out into that little pond or whatever it was, a part of a river that's not moving, you know what I'm saying? At first, I was like, man, this is kind of, it's kind of shady, but it's fucking cool, And then I was like, then the fish came over, and I was like, oh, this is scary. This is scary. Because after that, I had dreams that I had, like there were fish out there that had my face and had the same kind of chin and cheekbones as me and all kinds of weird shit. But there was a moment in there when it was scary, that's when it was exciting. When I don't sit here in the comfort all the time. When I get out into exciting, when I keep some risk, when I keep a little bit of risk in the tank. And I don't just put safe gas in there. I fucking put a match up in the top right corner of the tank and just say, hey fates, hey powers that be, let's see how this breaks down. But you can find all the tickets for all those places, Salt Lake City, Washington, D.C., all those places at theovon.com/tour. Okay, we had a lot of calls. You can always hit the hotline if you want to be associated with the podcast. The number is 985-664-9503. Here you go. We had a call that came in. I like to know who is listening to the pod. And usually I won't get into calls this week. I'll try and, go through my own life and my brain a little bit more. But man, honestly, this week has just it's been crazy. Dude, I worked on some television set this week. But they had a part of it where it's like a big, huge house party in the Hollywood Hills. And so next thing you know, I'm in the Hollywood Hills, and the guy whose house it was, this beautiful gentleman, and he was in the band called Extreme, and they had that song More Than Words, and it was like it was a kind of song you could really feel yourself to, or you could see somebody else's body to it. But they had and part of the scene, they have porno going on, people doing sex by the pool. And so next thing you know, they really had that in the scene. I thought it was going to be fake, right? I'm involved in the dialogue I'm supposed to be doing with this other character. I look over, and they got people doing real porno. Like, what? Y'all fucking outdoors, man. This is some real Native American style. This Pilgrims, That's real Pilgrims. I just had a sip of coffee. But I'd like to know who's listening to the podcast, and so we got this call. Let's go.
Hey, Camo. Theo Vaughn. I got to just tell you something, man. I'm listening to this podcast, and I just love what you are doing so much. I am a board-certified neuropsychologist. I am a graduate of Harvard Medical School, so I want to let you know these smart bitches out here be listening.
Dang, these SBs out there, Camo.
See, I just want to tell you that every time I hear you talk about the dark art, which is funny as shit, I'm not going to lie.
It's funny until you just laying in your house, and you done spray it out all on your knuckles and you got nothing left in your heart. But I feel you, though. Onward.
I want to let you know that what you are also doing and offering to people is truly the healing arts. Even though my specialty is dementia and helping people with brain injuries, I do a lot of therapy and just try to connect with people about trauma and heartbreak. And the way that you talk to people and the way that you accept people and the love that you show to people, I needed to reach out and tell you that what you do is so unbelievably needed and so therapeutic, and you do it so, so, so well. If you were not a natural-born comedian and hilarious as shit as you are, I would absolutely encourage you to go into social work or...
Well, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I appreciate the nice words. Yeah, it's hard for me to hear sometimes people say nice stuff about me. But I really do appreciate it. It's very sweet of you. And, now I feel bad about cutting you off because I'm not really trying to cut you off here.
Psychology, because you are a natural. What you do for people is not just make us laugh, man. What you do is you provide people with a space of love and acceptance and self-reflection and support. And I think that so many people out there can't hear that message unless it comes from someone who's genuine. And
well, I appreciate it. That's nice of you to say. I feel bad, like kind of... when you say nice stuff about me, it makes me feel, let me think about what it makes you feel. Man, you got me feeling emotional now. But that's okay. I like having some emotions. For so long in my life, I didn't have any, I had emotions, but it was just anger and, fear and probably just like feeling like not worth, feeling not worth, probably, damn, you got me leaking now. Probably feeling not worth love, And I didn't know it at the time. I didn't know that's what it was. I just felt angry, and I felt funny, and I felt alive. I did not feel alive. I didn't feel comatose or anything like that. I felt, I guess I felt unloved, even though I didn't realize it. and I've never really accepted compliments very well. I don't think, but I think that's sweet of you to say. And I feel like, I mean, it's crazy to me because look, if you'd asked me 5 years ago, I don't know if I would have had a lot of the same feelings inside of me. I think a lot of it for me has come from, and I go back on this stuff sometimes, but getting in like a 12-step program and stuff like that, because I couldn't see that there was so much more in the world that I was missing emotionally before. I felt, people would always say, I feel like I can't get to know you. I'm like, really? And this would be girlfriends and everything, and even dudes that were jerking off outside of my window, I'm joking about that part, but this would be they'd be like, yeah, I just feel like, I'm like, really? To me, everything seems, I tell you everything. It seemed like we know each other, but there was this other level where it was hard to get to. And I find still though, that if I don't stay on top of what's going on with me and stay in touch with myself and try and stay in touch with other people, that part of me creeps back really fast. That's disconnected. And that's very scary to me. And that's one of the biggest fears in my life right now is becoming disconnected. Because I flirt and work in this disconnected world in Hollywood. But, I just try and stay close to people that I care about and not be afraid to care about them if I can. And also, look, I'm learning as I go. So, but I'm happy to know they got some real legit bitches out there from Harvard Medical Center who are psychologists or psychotherapists. What's funny is I was just thinking this week, actually, I wish I could go back to school if I had more time to go back to school and try to learn how to just be like a more effective listener. That's what I'd like to be. Like, I wish, like, when I was listening to somebody, if I knew that they weren't feeling good, that I could ask them a question or make a suggestion that would help them, would help them feel better. So I don't know, bro. I don't mean to get off on all this shit. You got me off on all this stuff. But thanks for calling. And, I'm just out here. I'm just one of these people. But I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be here with you, today. And I'm happy for all this past weekend listeners that came out to this weekend, man. It's crazy. We got to find some way to do something more on weekend shows where we could do something together. And I'll start to brainstorm what that could be, maybe. We got another caller. Here we go.
Yo, Theo, good afternoon and salutations. This is Nomadic Beastly, also known as Handsome Julius, calling from the Bronx.
Damn, Nomadic Beastly on Instagram, I'm guessing. And then Handsome Julius out the Bronx, boy. Handsome Julius, come on.
I just called in to let you know I'm an urban guy. I'm from the inner city, the bad boroughs. And, like, your name probably isn't said that often in the Bronx.
That's probably true, man. I have sometimes, Julius, I wish that I could live like more than one life, and maybe I will, maybe we all will, if our higher power wants that for us, or if we handled this life okay enough, or if it was comfortable enough on us and it wasn't too painful, then maybe we'll get to come back and do it again in some facet. But sometimes I think about what it would be like to grow up in New York, out in the Bronx, baby, that Fat Joe country, out there, Rose Hill, out there, Fordham U out there. Just like walking around in the sunshine and like just everything, they got a dead pigeon over there and they got people playing, handball against the walls, and they got Dominicans and they got, Puerto Rican people, and they got fucking somebody, throwing all of their spouse's clothes out the second story window. And they got some grandmother just pinching her kid's Italian cheek. And they got just life. They just have so much life going on. And it's faster there, But New York has New York has an amazing ability where they have a little bit of that. It's almost like you get a small town in a moment there. New York, there's so much going on. You get a small town in a moment. Like you can get a million years of small town life almost sometimes in a moment in New York. Just turning a corner and opening your eyes, and it's just everything is so fast. But thank you for calling, Julius. Onward, brother.
But I'm watching, and I'm listening on the train on my way to work every day. I'm an electrician, by the way.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. Electrician. I was just talking about electrician. If somebody's electrician, man, and they smoking weed at the same time, boy, come on. I mean, that's the new, you're a damn science fair project if that's what you're doing, man. Come on.
And although it's based in humor and based in dry humor, sarcasm, but the shit is good, bro. I appreciate all the positive words that are masked inside the jokes.
Well, thanks, Julius. It's nice of you to say, man. Nice of you to think about that. But yeah, man, just know that you're living a life that a lot of people dream about. That alternate life, just kind of mobbing around New York with your eyes open. Just feeling all the, beautiful women goes by and somebody too fucking, deviant vagrants or whatever fucking beating each other with prosthetic limbs across the street. And you got, somebody shooting bullets in the air and trying to catch him in his mouth, and you got everything. I was in New York one time. Somebody jumped off a building and killed themselves or whatever, and the crowd's starting to disperse, and then some lady walks up and she goes, "Did you see it?" And I'm like, "What was it?" I'm thinking about the body or something, maybe this was I don't know if she was homeless, but she, liked to pretend she was homeless a lot, I guess, and maybe she was pretending on this day that she was. She goes, "Did you see it?" And I said, "What?" And she just pulled her dress up and showed me that big coochie, bruh. You feel me? Show me that big fucking tiger's mouth she had down there, boy. That big side, that big fucking, it looked like about 3 or 4 salamanders sleeping next to each other, and one of them had the gout. But yeah, crazy, man. And thanks for calling, man. Thanks for calling, dude. You seem like kind of like a tougher guy, and maybe, I think tougher guys always kind of made me a little bit nervous sometimes when I was young. But here you and I are communicating. So that's cool, man. It's pretty cool, We got some follow-ups from last week's calls, and I know I'm not getting too deep this week in this stuff, but those are some people that listen. We got an electrician. We got a bad bitch out of Harvard Dental or whatever, medical, dental, fucking brain, whatever. I need a molar in my cerebellum, baby girl. You feel me? I need that mental floss. But we also have some follow-ups from last week, and I want to get to those because those are important because it's you guys getting to give feedback to previous callers. Onward.
Hey, Theo, this is Daniel calling from Maui. This is in response to the guy that got asked to be married by the fucking foreign chick or whatever.
Yep, this is Daniel from Maui. And Maui, boy, y'all out there floating out there in the middle of nowhere, eating pineapples, dude, and fucking catching salmon in your jaw. And also, you just said that this, we had a call last week, and a boy said, he said that he got propositioned by a woman to marry him, and this is kind of an older lady, and he's considering it. So here's a suggestion from Daniel.
Yeah, don't do it, man. It's not worth it. My kid's mom got on that fucking meth and married her friend. Her friend paid her, I don't know, like 20 grand or something to marry her. She was Yugoslavian or some shit like that.
Well, Yugoslavia is just a regular place. But yeah, I know what you're saying. Something wild out there. You know what I'm saying? Like Russia, but maybe in the mountains or something. Onward.
And they ended up getting caught. And they threw the marriage out. And I think the chick got fucking deported. And I don't think anybody's going to go to jail over it. But that shit ain't worth it, man.
Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. So look, yeah, you could be damaging your future. Look, these offers come along a lot, I think, in life in America, where somebody's like, hey, marry this person for 20G, they can live in the country or whatever. And I had an opportunity, in the past, I got offered a couple of cleaning ladies that families were trying to keep in the U.S. And I didn't go through with them. And everything's been fine. So I think, I think I'm agree with you on this, Daniel. Pass it up, man. Let it go. You know what I'm saying? Maybe marry a real woman that you actually are in love with. And maybe one day y'all might get divorced and she'll just take all your shit. So that way, nothing. All right, let's hear another call right here, man. Or you might just fall in love, bro.
Hey, Theo. This is Adam from Bellingham, Washington.
Hey, Adam, calling from Bellingham, dude. And I was with a friend one time who his car broke down in Bellingham. And that's it, I think. That's all I remember about it. Let's go.
Been listening to your show for 2 weeks now. Thought it was pretty funny. Been listening to 2 weeks of mailman-related things. And guess what? Your boy is a mailman.
Come on, boy. Get in there. You out there, you slanging letters, boy. You that package savage, baby. You out there, boy, with them perfume samples. And you out there just dropping off them sweet scents into people's boxes, boy. Throw a hit of that Estee Lauder up into somebody's dirty box. Man, I love that. Dude, I was just talking today about how crazy it was. 2 mailmen called. Male people, male persons, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Badass motherfuckers that's dropping off that, that mail. And they both had dogs barking in the background. I thought that was awesome. But thank you for calling in. Adam, you's a mailman as well. Any more?
And I was laughing at the guy last week who got propositioned for sex.
Mm-hmm.
Out in the streets. I'm wondering, I've been a mailman for 2 years, and what I'm wondering is, why not me?
So you ready for something? And this could be, look, if you're a stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home dad, here's the thing. Some jobs, it's already set up, Put this in the box, lick this stamp, you know what I'm saying? Stuff this envelope. Fuck me, buy this stack of paper. You know what I'm saying? There's already enough kind of things out there in that world where you can easily lead right into sex. It is kind of crazy when you think about this, and it reminds me of that movie Bridges of Madison Counties, and how you could just be there lonely for so long, or if you are lonesome, and you have a man coming by each day, and you ain't hollering at that man. Now, you might not be doing it because you're married, and you're in a committed, and that's where you're at. But sometimes you just have to change it up. Sometimes you got to put you got to put a foot out into that fear. And sometimes you got to fuck a male person. Sometimes you have to fuck a male person. Think about that. Because think about this. Say you're running around town, a small town or even a city. There's dogs chasing you. And the weather is trying to get you in hail, snow, hail, snail, rain, tornadoes, rainados, weather you've never even fucking heard of is coming after these people, coming after you. Imagine you're a male person and you doing all of this and all of that and surviving. And finally, one day somebody fucks you during the afternoon. How would you feel? Pretty good, I bet, huh? Sometimes we have to look at it from the other perspective. But thank you for calling, Adam. Maybe you'll get some, man. Maybe you'll get some. Here's one more follow-up from last week.
Hi, Theo. My name is Vidal. I live in Utah.
Thank you for calling Lidal. I think it's Lidal or Vidal. I can't tell, but thank you for calling, Idal.
And I'm married. Yeah, and I have a beautiful little girl.
Oh, man, you got a beautiful child, and that's awesome, man. Little girls are so sweet. That's perfect. More?
I was just calling because I want to let you know that, what you were saying really inspired me when it came to that guy that had lost his grandpa and his girl. I recently, about a month ago, lost my best friend. I'm in the military. He was in the military. I lost him to drugs, and I also lost my sergeant. And, it's been tough. It's been rough. I do agree that drugs, I was using them to help me feel also as well, and I want to let the guy know that, you know, he's not alone. I know I'm there with him, and you know, he's want to let him know he's not alone. And I'm trying to quit these drugs, man, and I know he probably wants to too. So if there was something we could do where we can both, you know, quit at the same time or something, I'm not really sure where I'm going with this. Just want to help him out because I don't want anyone to feel what.
I feel you, man. Yeah, I feel you, dude. It's tough when you know somebody else hurts and you have had experience with that same pain and you know they're going through it. Man, it's like secondhand smoke, but for your heart, isn't it? It can be pretty hectic. Well, thanks for calling, man. You know what? I tried to reach out this weekend to that gentleman, and I'm gonna try again tomorrow. And maybe we can connect you guys, see if he's okay with that. And yeah, at least you could, you know, you'll know you're not alone then. You know, it's crazy how much different it gets when you just put a little bit of light on your problem, man. Because problems, they prosper in the darkness. They become Picassos in the darkness, man. Just a little bit of dirty ink, and next thing you know, it's fucking Vincent Van Voldemort. You know and that's the dark arts. Things prosper in the darkness, and you got to shine a little bit of light on them, man, and it can lift up a little, bro. You know, I feel that, man. I believe that shit. I know it sounds crazy, dude. Or what the fuck does this dude know what he's talking about? Oh well, dude. You know what I'm saying? I'll smoke a couple bowls of my own dick, son. You know what I'm saying? I'll babysit a cat with my nuts, bruh. Because that's who I am, bruh. You know what I'm saying? I'll eat caviar off your cousin's ass cheek, son. Because I'm rich and naughty. You feel me? All right, let's take a couple of calls that came in. Best weekend, worst weekend. You know what I'm going to do, though? Let's go.
Hey, Theo. This is Haley from rural Illinois.
Hey, Haley. I'm in rural Illinois right now. Onward.
I'm just cleaning somebody's house, doing my thing, you know, just like every day.
Oh, you're a house cleaner? You know what I just realized the other day? Like, I'm okay with tipping bartenders and servers, you know, at a bar if I buy a drink. But I'd way rather tip a house cleaner. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, I'm doing, you know, if I'm at a motel room or hotel room or something, you know what I'm saying, man. I'm leaving fucking back hair on the mattress. You feel me? Onward.
But I had the best weekend ever this last weekend. My boyfriend and I and our 3 best friends went camping up by Starved Rock, and we did some hiking. We did a little drugs, you know.
Oh, yeah. You went hiking up by Starved Rock. And you know what's so funny? I drove past Starved Rock today. And I was like, who the fuck would ever hang out around there? And bam, you just called. Excuse me. And you just called. That's pretty sweet. Because it seemed like a place, Starved Rock, it seemed like things, you know, a place where things didn't end well for somebody or for a group of people. But I'm glad you guys got out there and had fun. You know, I wish that I went camping more. My sister and her kids go camping all the time. And you know, I don't do enough of that kind of stuff. I don't really get connected out there in nature enough, and I need to work more on it. I'm going to try to make that a goal for myself. Let's hear more.
Just a little bit, but we did some drinking. We had a great time, and to top it all off, the boyfriend and I came home, and then we went kayaking down the Mackinac River, and maybe got a little frisky, maybe once, twice, or 3 times. It was really fun. But, yeah, I can't wait to see you in Wyoming this Friday. I'm calling in, telling my boss I got the shits so that I can come see you. Thanks.
Wow. So you already came to the show then. Oh, this is wild. This came in this week. Well, yeah, it's crazy. A, you called your boss and said you had the shits. That's pretty, I mean, nobody can deny or lie about that. B, you and your boyfriend got out there on that Mackinac River and was out there spanking and busting around each other, and I like that. You know, I remember going tubing when I was young, and stopping and doing some sex and doing some child sex because I was still a child, and so was the girl that I was seeing, and we could legally have sex with each other because we were both children. and doing some child sex out there on the banks. And it's fun. You know what's fun about that kind of stuff? You got to fuck fast because your friends are waiting for you. They're right up around the bend, and you slip off on that sandbar and bust out, you know? And it's all, I mean, in your genitals, everybody's genitals so cold, you can't even tell what's getting fucked or what's doing the, you know, what's doing, really doing a lot of the darting and what's doing a lot of the accepting. It's just basically like smashing cold meat into, chunks of cold meat into each other until both of them, just coom out a little. But thank you for calling. That is a best weekend. Let's hear another submission for our worst weekend.
Hey, Theo, this is Kyle from Maryland. Just wanted to call in, talk to you a little bit about my past weekend. My girl of almost 8 years just moved in yesterday.
Ooh, brave boy. More?
So we're all pretty stoked about that. That's pretty cool. We made some nice dinner. And in the midst of all that, chopping garlic, fucking cut my hand. Girl was there, all nice, happy, everything was sweet, great day. Fucking ends up in the emergency room. I'm cutting my hand.
Ooh, the irony for a vampire, huh? Onward.
We end up getting back after, just a few stitches. And then we put on the Theo Vaughn Netflix special, laughing hysterically. Go get it done, get it in afterwards. Sitting there in bed, she rolls over, tells me, that's Theo Vaughn, he's a funny dude, funny guy. So we look it up, boom, you're in Washington, D.C. in November. Bought us some tickets, gonna come see you, buddy. Appreciate you, thanks.
Thank you guys, man. And obviously, I know I'm not the only person who realized that that's a threesome invitation right there. You know what I'm saying? A little bit of garlic, a little bit of cutlery, trip to the hospital, couple stitches, Netflix, people fucking. I mean, look. How much Morse code or charades you got to put down there for y'all trying to get daddy in that bedroom? That is awesome, man. And the crazy thing is, if you cut your hand open and you're having sex after, you almost have to keep your hand in the air so it doesn't throb very much. But that's interesting, man, and I appreciate your weekend. That is a great weekend. Both of these are great. We got one more submission for this past month, and then next week I'll let you know who won for this month. For our best worst weekend, here we go.
Hey, Theo. Calling in for the best worst weekend. Your boy Devin B in Youngstown.
Oh, shit. My boy Devin B out in Young's Teasy, boy. Youngstown, Ohio. And that's a great place to get, you get some cornbread and get fucked up as well and get mugged maybe even, or even, or also get into military. Onward.
I don't really know if I want to say it's a good or bad weekend per se, but this weekend I just hung out with my dog and did some Molly, man.
Ooh, hung out with your dog and did a little bit of ecstasy, huh? That sounds like some David and the Gnomes type of shit. Remember that cartoon? David and the Gnomes? And they had like little gnomes, and suddenly they had a wolf or like a dog, like a sled dog hanging out with them. And you're like, damn, they got this big white dog hanging out with this little, frisky little person. This fucking, somebody's on ecstasy. Onward.
Fucking, I know that sounds weird, but pretty sure we connected. Like on a different level.
Oh, I bet you did, dude. I hope it was all kind of stuff you could talk about at the church, Onward.
Shit, man. I don't know.
Okay, and there you go, man. I don't know. Is that bestiality or is that just friendship? What is it? What did we just hear, guys? What did we honestly just hear? I do not know. Let's take another call right here. This was just a regular somebody hitting the hotline with a thought or a suggestion. The hotline number is 985-664-9503. And if you want to contribute to the podcast, call and contribute. There's also a video fan line. You can send video fan line questions through our live raise fan line, and that link is on the YouTube page. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, please. Let's hear.
Hey, what's up, Theo? It's Zach from Toronto, Canada.
Zach from Toronto, and I'll be up there in Toronto a little bit later this year, so get those passes to JFL Toronto. More?
So my conundrum is that I'm 29, and I never had sex with a girl.
Wow. Dude, I got to think about this, man, because you're 29, you never had sex, huh? Wow. Because let's listen to you. We've listened to me enough. Sorry, I interrupted you, Zach. More?
You know, and it's not like, I'm not a freak. I'm a bigger dude, you know, I'm like 6'2", like 230, 240.
Bro, you sound cute enough. There's girls listening right now who would probably fuck you, bro. And a couple dudes too, bro. So one way or another, we might get you out of this jam. Let's hear more.
And, you know, I've been spending a lot of time just working on my education. I got some university degrees.
Oh, man. So I'll tell you what you are fucking, dude. You're fucking the world, bro. Because you're getting yourself some diplomas, dude. You know what I'm saying? You stacking that paper. You stacking that you know, those frame fillers, man. You got a couple hitters. More?
And trying to get a career off the ground. But it's like I never had sex with a girl, and I never really pursued it either.
Wow. So I mean, Joe Rogan talks about this thing called the incels, I think, and it's people that don't have no interest in sex at all. I don't know if that's what you are because I have to research it a little bit more, and also you could just be your own thing. But this is super interesting, man. I'd love to. I'm gonna have to call you and talk to you on the air about this. But let's finish your call.
But I'm starting to think, like, maybe I should just give up and be celibate forever.
Dude, I heard this, man. If you don't have sex and you go to heaven, bro, that there's like everybody, it's like you're like a piñata and they beat you open and all of like the semen and all that, confetti or whatever, like, you know, because semen is basically just confetti, but from like heaven. And it all flies out of your body. People beat you open and it flies out of your body, but it doesn't hurt. It's still, you know, but it's just like, it's like a celebration. It's like a maypole celebration or something like that. Or like, I guess like Cinco de Mayo or something. More?
And, also my buddy even, he really likes those hookers, right?
Okay. He's out there escorting. More?
And, he even offered to pay for me to fuck a hooker, and I said no, because I'm not in that kind of shit. But, I don't know. What do you think about that? You know, like 29 years old, never had sex with a girl. I got my dick sucked once, but that was a while ago. I don't know. What do you think?
Man, I love it. You know, this is fascinating to me. You know, this is super interesting, and it's fascinating to me. That you've been through all, you know, you're 29. What do? You know what? You know, this is kind of a crazy week because I'm on the road. I'm going to leave it right there. What does he do? You know, here he is. He's been through, he's 29 years old. He's been alive for 29 years, he said, you know, and he don't have any sex. You know, he's never gotten that warm catfish wrapped around his frickin', his body dart. You know, he's never gotten to hide that meat cane up in that soft sock. So what, you know, at this point, because here's another thing, your imagination, I'm sure is, I don't know if there's any, and if you've been watching pornography, which, I mean, I'm just assuming you have been watching pornography, there's no way you imagine that something in real life, I don't think it's going to be able to compete with that. And also, escorts are, look, man, escorting is a means to an end. These are women who are out there working. These are making, you know, these are women who are, a lot of women putting their families through, putting their children through kindergarten. You know, it's like, that's not if that's how you get sex, I don't think that's a demeaning way. This is interesting. What does he do? He's 29 years old. I'll give you a call, but I'll wait and do that on the air because I think we should talk. I'd love to talk to you in front of it, you know, so everybody can be involved as I learn, so that everyone learns at the same time. But yeah, man, look, we'll get into it. You know, I'm going to finish up my holiday weekend because 4th of July is coming up. I want to say happy 4th of July to anybody who served for our country. And I also want to say that, you know, this is your America. This is your America. Don't let any Don't let your boss tell you what your America is supposed to look like. Don't let your a celebrity tell you what your America is supposed to look like. Don't let someone who holds a job over your head tell you what your America is supposed to look like. This is your America. Celebrate it however you want. This is your America. I want to thank all the men and women who have served, who protect our independence. So many times they want to say, people want to say, anybody can come into America. It doesn't even matter. But who I'd love to know from some soldiers out there, how do you guys feel about that? If you're protecting our borders, or this might be my mindset and it's totally wrong because I'm not doing this. But if you're protecting our borders, what do you think the borders should be like? How do you manage the idea of America being like a safe haven for people, but at the same time, America being able to take care of itself? What does that look like? Are some of these ideas old ideas and some of these ideas far-fetched? I'd love to, if there's any people who have served out there who might have some insight into that, because I can have my ideas, but I haven't protected the walls of, I haven't protected not the walls, but what I'm saying, I haven't protected our borders. I've never done it. I don't, is that in your heart when you choose to fight for America, or if you choose to defend America, if you choose to serve in the military, is that in your heart, or is it just, that doesn't matter? That's just part of the, I don't know. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued what that's like, because there just seems to be a lot of different viewpoints on it. I tend to believe that there should be an organized way for people to come in and out of our country. That's what I believe. And here's why. To me, because I've traveled to a lot of countries, maybe 40, 50, and there's an extremely organized way that I have to go in and out of those places. And some places, they don't even want you there. I don't see how you lose with organization. In fact, I see only how you gain. Because then if somebody comes here and they need help, you know who they are. And I think America, we need a roll call anyway. We need to know who's here. How can you teach a class? How can you work with a class if you don't even know who's in the classroom? If they got 7 or 9 students hiding behind the coat rack because they're afraid to live openly. So I think we got to have an organized way for people to come into the country. That's what I think. But I'm happy to be proven wrong, or I'm happy to hear a different suggestion or a different idea. Because you know what? There's a good chance I might not know what the fuck I'm talking about. But I'd love to know from people that protect our borders, what do they think? Or is there even a group, or is there like a popular group thought there? Or is it all just everybody has different opinions and you just... So if people are wondering what's going on with Amanda Knox, she has backstage passes at a Renaissance fair.
Yes, yeah. I could tell you the goings on.
Yeah, and a recent engagement that kind of like puts a nice charm into your life.
Yes. Oh God. Yeah, this is the stuff that people don't know about me. People think they know a lot of things about me, but really I'm just a nerd who likes to wear costumes and go to Ren fairs.
Now, Ren fairs, I feel like Ren fairs kind of is their arch rival kind of like a carnival, like the small town carny folk? I feel like those people probably, I could see them kind of getting into some fisticuffs at night or something,
I know there's some crossover. I do know that some performers who come to Renaissance fairs do perform at carnivals as well. Like there was this one amazing woman who trained a bunch of rats to like do acrobatics with her.
Oh yeah.
Which was great.
I should
her.
know
She was awesome, and she goes to the Ren fairs and the carnivals. Carnivals, I feel like carnivals just make me feel sick. I don't know.
It's a little seedier. They get you hopped up on the sugar, then they shake you up with the machinery. It's kind of an old school.
Yeah. It's a lot more adrenaline rush than I think I can handle. I just tend to feel a little nauseated.
Yeah.
So I don't go to carnivals very often anymore.
So Ren fairs, I would say, a Ren fair is almost like a carnival minus the nausea.
Yes.
There's more...
and more playfulness, because you're like, you go, and you're not exactly in character, but you're playing pretend. Like, everyone's just kind of playing pretend with each other, and they're getting their hair braided so they can look more Renaissance-y. And like, the idea is to just sort of like let your inner nerd embrace itself.
Yeah.
And like these are some places where like it's the one place that somebody feels at home. Like to be nerdy in the world, like, you can be a cool nerd in this world, but not everyone's a cool nerd. Some people are just straight up nerds.
Yeah.
And like when you allow yourself to get into costume and just
nerd
nerd out, and it's so sweet and it's so fun. I love it.
Yeah, it is kind of like you see people like you'll see like a fair maid in there. You'll see like a lot of wooden swords.
You hear a lot about corset-gasms.
Oh yeah. Oh really?
Have you heard of a corset-gasm?
I've seen honestly some big tits at a Renaissance fair.
Yes,
like if
they
you
come out.
Oh, they really do.
That's the place to let them on display.
If
but
you like
then,
sunburnt cleavage, dude.
Yes,
then a Ren fair.
That is
it.
the place.
And Minnesota has a lot of big ones too. I know that.
Yeah, I've heard about them. I've never actually been to those before, but I think me and Chris are going to be going with his brother and wife and their best friend. They all do Ren Fair stuff together. I think we're going to be going down to this big one in Texas in November.
Wow.
And I'm really excited. Apparently it is like 10 times as big as any of them that are here in Washington State. And
dang.
Yeah, so it's just like a world an alternate reality to explore while wearing dope costumes.
Yeah, yeah, and more peaceful times, I think, in a way. Maybe. Well, I don't know. They had dragons back then. They wish they had dragons. They really do. Yeah, I guess they wish they had dragons. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the fair, because it's still a fair. Like, there's still going to be some fair food. I don't know. I find it really exciting. I think that I love watching his brother do his thing.
Yeah.
They are swinging real swords at each other, and occasionally, like, he'll get like a sharp elbow to the face, and he'll have like his face cut open, and it's like this is real.
Yeah.
The only difference is no one's actually trying to kill each other. They just look like they are, and occasionally someone gets hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, Ren fairs. I went I went a couple years ago, I'll be honest, I'm trying to lie about it. But I went a few years ago, and it was what was it like? Oh, it started raining, so suddenly, like, behind the scene, like, everything kind of became like the worlds kind of got mixed because everybody was trying to stay dry. Mm-hmm. So you had a lot of people that weren't like in like Ren garb, like trying to get into the Ren holes and stuff, and stuff got a little shelter became it was a commodity.
Well, yeah, especially because a lot of these fairs are end up being sort of put out into these fields.
Yeah,
and
that was
like
it.
all the water just accumulates in these fields. And like the Ren Fair that I go to in Washington State very often, like, it's there, and then like it has to disappear at the end of the Ren Fair, and then that field gets recycled into something else. And I've used it before to do a mud run, which is to do like an obstacle, like mud course. Where
so that's like the week after Ren Fair, it's mud run.
Yeah, it's mud run.
Yeah. People don't realize, like, that's crazy. I wonder what the field thinks. I wonder if the field's like, oh, who's on my back this week?
Yeah, totally.
Oh, thankfully it's the Ren Fair. They're pretty calm.
Yeah.
And then it's these mud freaks.
And then the mud freaks are like chugging beer and like getting really dirty. And that's also a great use of random grass field.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. The one that I went to was way out in the middle of nowhere. And we went when I was in school. I was in like a special class. And so they would take us out there. And one time they're like, okay, you have to dress up. And I didn't understand the concept of Renaissance fairs. And I was Peter Pan.
That works.
So it worked, but it was
you were in the kind of right time period in terms of fairy tale. Like that totally they have like Robin Hood themed Ren fairs.
That's who I think I meant to be was Robin Hood, and I just messed up. And my whole costume, we didn't sew it. It was all just tied. It was like a bunch of stuff, and then I wrapped myself in fishing twine, right, to hold it all together. So it was way bizarre.
I'm having trouble visualizing this, but do you have pictures?
I think there's some drawings or sketches of it back in the day. But it was definitely kind of a seedy look.
They were pretty much the same thing, Robin Hood and Peter Pan.
Yeah, totally. You're fine. As long as you have the tunic, the green tunic you fit in.
I think I got offended though when people called me Robin Hood. That was my problem.
Oh, you were like,
and that's
no,
why
this is Peter.
Yeah, that's why I had
fly.
That's why I had. So really, it was just the way I
never
interacted.
grow up.
Yeah, it was the way I interacted with the world there. You know, I kind of brought, I think, a bad attitude as well. It could have been the twine too. It was 30-pound test, and it was really, really tight.
You know, there are people walking around in chainmail and like legit armor out there, though. Like 90 pounds of crap in 90-degree weather.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
impressive.
I saw a guy drinking WD-40 out there one day, and I was like, oh, man, he needs it.
Or mead, just so much mead.
Oh, yeah, and that's beer, right?
Well, it's very sugary. I think it's more like wine, but like extremely sugary. It's like honey. It's like it tends to have like a honey flavor,
Like a port almost or something?
Yeah. And people get shit faced on that.
Wow.
So
Dang.
it's a lot of fun.
Cooked out on some meat, huh? And some lean, too. I think it's gotten a little bit urban in some of these Ren fairs. It's starting to, things are getting strange. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me. Actually, I admit that I had not heard your podcast before, but what convinced me to come on is one of my best friends said that yours is the best podcast ever, and she has the biggest crush on you. So
really?
In case you want to like meet someone who's also amazing, she moved over all the way to Italy to like be supportive of me and visit me in prison.
Wow.
So like she's an incredible person. And she has a big fat crush on you. So.
Oh, dang.
And she's ex-Mormon, which I find that ex-Mormons are the best people ever.
Yeah, they're pretty. Yeah, I've heard some things about them. I mean, they're Mormons are really, really unique. When I one time I was walking through the Mormon place in Utah, like Park City, the big
the temple.
Yeah,
I mean, you're not allowed to go in the
tabernacle.
temple, but the tabernacle.
And
beautiful.
they had like 19 weddings going on. Like I was in like 4 ceremonies just on accident. I was just accidentally would walk in different paths.
Wow, you got lucky. I've been there before multiple times,
Yeah.
and I've never seen a wedding there. I've only wished, like, I've walked into that tabernacle and been like, God, I wish someone was singing here, because they do. They're incredible singers.
Beautiful.
They're incredible musicians, and they have a really great sense of community. They're really supportive of each other, and then there's all the crazy dogma, but like
there's a lot of rough dogma with everything. I feel like these days you hear more about the dogma so much of everything than you do about like the good stuff, like the
humanity.
Values. Yes.
Yeah. No, that's my big issue. Is like I'm constantly coming face to face with different kinds of dogmas, and they don't have to be established dogmas. They can be like the whole vilification narrative is something that I find that's like, well, we've decided that somebody is a monster, and now what? And for me, I feel like my job now in the world, having been mischaracterized as a monster, but also having like lived next to people who have been imprisoned for years for things that they actually did do, is be like, well, it's a lot more complicated. People are people, and the reason they do things are not for monstrous reasons most of the time. It's usually a human reason. And we don't like to... I find that the greater society tends to not want to embrace those human qualities. They want to have a scapegoat. They want to like hold someone up as a symbol and say this is something that we can hate.
Do you think that it's the greater society that, because I find that it appears that way, certainly, like through the news and through media, for sure. But person to person, I find that it's not that. Do you know what I'm talking about, kind of?
Sure, totally.
And I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying it's interesting that, like as a mass, especially like if you like go like through with the news and media, it's like, yes, it's like, let's put a pin in this. This is, we need like an angel. We need a devil. We need figures, to get people excited and to get them engaged. But then when you go to, humans, it seems like there is more of a care about the people a lot of times, or there is more empathy than you get through the narrative that's in the news.
Yes, I think that on a person-to-person basis, the instinct that another human being is across from you, and you automatically empathize with them because they have eyes and they have a nose and they have a mouth and they look like you because they're a human. Like that instinct kicks in. But there's another instinct that we all have, which is to stop thinking. And God, I think it was, have you read a lot of Jonathan Haidt?
Mm-mm.
I think you would like him. He talks about like the reasons why people come into conflict with each other, despite the fact that, you know, they're all good people and they're all thinking people and feeling people. And one of the reasons is like, you know, we're like 80% chimp and like 20% bee. And like the bee part of us sort of like latches onto a group and then just agrees with everything in that group and otherizes anyone outside of that group. And so I find it interesting. I don't know if from your experience, like how many people have to come together into a group before they start thinking like a group as opposed to like an individual who sees another human being across from them. Have you noticed that? Like, have you...
You know, I've been amazed at just like through podcasting and stuff, like the amount of people that are good in the world. That's what I find just by going out and doing comedy shows and having people come out to them, but just good people. Like, I've just been amazed. It's really kind of changed a little bit of my perception. Sometimes I think of the world, especially like through the news, you know, and like the mainstream media. Like, I mean, I feel like that got so spoiled.
Like it's always bad news.
It's always bad. And now it's gotten to the point where I think most people do not believe it anymore. I think that most people realize that it's bad and they know that that it's a trick or that it's you know, and I hate to say that, you know, your experience, there's probably a lot of experiences over the past 25 years that were like paramount to probably people realizing that there's no value here of me giving myself to this anymore because they don't even care like what's real. Like I have more empathy than this news does. So at a certain point, if I keep taking it in and believing it, then I'm doing almost a disservice to who I am as a person.
Yeah. And I think that's a fair point. I also think though that we're sort of teaching ourselves how to think less thoroughly, just by like the way that we're consuming a lot of information. A lot of information is coming our way and like flashing across our eyes, and like triggering an emotional response, and then that emotional response happens, and then it's gone, and we stop thinking about it. And I think we are. I don't know. I get both sides of it, and just, you know, even from personal experience, getting both sides of it, where on the one hand, we have such a hunger for like depth and human connection, and that's why a lot of the media is responding to that and trying to create these difficult, you know, gray space narratives. And on the other hand, we have also an outrage culture, and both of those are real. Yeah. And like the flippancy with which the casualness with which we decide, oh, I hate that person, or oh, that person's worthless, or oh, like it's so quick.
Yeah, is it two different us's though? Almost, do you feel like sometimes like there's a me that's that like will react to something like through television or through online and make a choice, you know, pass a judgment, and then there's a me that's. And that me almost doesn't even seem real. I feel like that's the same me that would engage with like flirting with women online and that sort of stuff sometimes, where it's like it feels almost like a video game of not real life.
I wish I knew what that was like. I'm not. I mean, it's fascinating. Like I obviously can't date online, right? So I haven't had that experience, but I've definitely. I mean, lots of people our age are doing online dating and are experiencing each other in a very different way. Like, it's not like you run across them and you see them in context in an element, right, interacting with people. What you do is you read their profile and find out what their interests are. And if you have the same interests, maybe that means that you'll get along. But I don't know, you can have completely different interests and actually get along, and that's when it's the real connection.
Right. Yeah, I think connection, I think overall it seems like connection is just a thing that it's almost like I wonder if it'll be like in a museum at some point. Like, it's funny, I was talking to my niece a couple of months ago and I was talking about imagination, and she thought it was an app. She hadn't heard of it.
Oh, sweetheart.
And it broke my heart. And she's very smart and very capable, but it was just very bizarre to me.
Yeah, imagination. Is there an app for that?
Yeah.
Can I outsource?
She's like, I don't think I have that. She's like, I don't think my mom lets me. I think that's under parental controls, she said. That she doesn't know if. I'm like, no, it's just inside of you, you know? It's like this thing that...
Yeah, let's do it right now. Yeah. Let's not tell your mom.
It's your own. It's like one of your few apps, you know. Do you have like after your whole experience through being incarcerated and accusations and everything? Do you have like who do you blame the most? Do you feel like?
I think you might be surprised that, as much as like the blame game was happening at me, I don't really think of it in terms of blame. I had a long time to like sit in my cell and wonder why this was happening to me. And that's still a question that bothers me. Like, just why me? Why me of all people in the world to have this happen to them? Why? And I don't have a sufficient answer for that, but I don't think that it's a specific person that I feel the need to blame. I think human beings fail to see each other all the time, every day, and it's not like it's someone's fault. I'm trying to one thing that I'm doing right now is I'm trying to reach out to my prosecutor because, the easy and automatic response to any of these situations is to be like, fuck that guy. He's a bad dude and he did something bad to me.
Right.
But I've never found that to be a very satisfactory answer to why. It doesn't answer my why question.
Right. Yeah.
It
gives you like kind of a cane a little bit, but it doesn't really give you like a real place to stand, kind of.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's just my disposition, but I don't lashing out does not feel doesn't satisfy me in any way possible. I think I remember one time wanting to punch a pillow once, and I was just like, oh, and it was for some stupid thing, maybe traffic or something, and I was like, oh, that's what everyone's feeling all the time, wanting to punch something. Now I know what that feels like. Wow. So I don't know.
Was there but I guess I mean also in a sense of was there a group that, and not even a specific group or person, but was it more the country? Was it more the the media? What was it? The news? Was it the police there that was the thing that you're it seems like they were the ones that kept the ball rolling, because it seemed bizarre that you were going through all of this. I think from, I consider myself just kind of an everyman. It seemed like you didn't seem like somebody that would kill someone to me easily, and even with the information from the case, but you probably displayed behaviors where I was like, oh, if I think she seems like someone that's unique or aloof or whimsical, and I could see that kind of fitting obviously a wild story. But was it more the media that kept you? Do you think one of them influenced more the fact that you were stuck there for so long that you had to go through all of this? Do you think?
I think that it's like everything. It's a lot more complicated than it would be nice if it were, because it's a combination of factors. It's a combination of the law and what was legally allowed, what the police were legally allowed to do to me. Were they illegally allowed to psychologically torture me in an interrogation room? Well, yes and no. Are they human beings, and is their instinct to feel confirmation bias and to only see what they want to see and sort of ignore or disregard things that don't go with their prejudice? These are all factors that came into play, and I can't just pinpoint one reason why it happened. It's a lot of reasons.
Do you feel like that they started to think that it was sexy that they had, not sexy, but that it was
I think sex played a role, but again, not just for one person, because there's the journalist who goes, here's this here are two fresh-faced young women, and now it's sex on like girl on girl crime, and that's sexy. And then on the other hand, there's some police officers or prosecutors who are looking at a crime scene and looking at a body and seeing that there were signs of sexual violence. And so getting this like sexuality in their head and coming from a different culture and a different time than I was, and having prejudgments about my own sexuality or the way that my sexuality even appeared to them, because they didn't even really know what kind of sexual person I was. They just kind of assumed things based on the fact that I was an American girl.
Right.
And so there's a lot of that goes into play.
Do you think that the police there started to kind of get off on the attention that they were getting at a certain point and played into their own, like, almost like they would keep up the narrative and not veer off and not even want to veer off because it almost romanticized their position? That's what I'm trying to say.
I think it probably had more to do with them wanting to protect or, they wanted to maintain that they were professionals with integrity. And when their humanity came into play, when their prejudices came into play, when they made mistakes, like many of us, admitting that they had made that mistake, like they can say, like, there's this cognitive dissonance where they can say, I'm a professional and I'm acting with integrity, and in a certain moment, for some people, like, they get on the defensive and they say that therefore I cannot make a mistake. Like, how can you point to me and say, like, I'm a professional with an integrity? How can you tell me that I made a mistake? And it's like, well, I'm sorry, you made a mistake.
Right.
And
it's okay. You made one. It's not.
But like, it became an issue. Then it became the blame game. Like, very quickly it became, well, whose fault is, like, this is a fucked up situation. Whose fault it is? Like, whose fault is it? And under what light can we cast, like, how fucked up the situation is? Because we start with this death of a young woman. Yeah. And there's no escaping that this is a tragedy. And this is the story of young women throughout history being targeted and abused and murdered because
women have really they've taken some L's over the decades.
They have. And so we start with that. And then it becomes a tragedy on top of a tragedy on top of a tragedy, and how the focus gets turned from one thing to another.
It being like someone that's obviously is dramatic and I could see you being in like drama club in school, and that's what
totally was in drama club.
Okay, cool. So was I. So I've been in some really bad plays. One time I was in I was in Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, who were you?
I was Watson. Right?
Oh, great role.
But I changed it to Holmes. I got real like Latino the night of the performance, and I didn't tell anybody.
Wait, what?
And I came out and I was like, "What's happening, Holmes?" And
oh my God.
So it put a whole spin, like my own selfish spin on everything, and it ruined everybody else's experience of the night. But for me, it was. I just kind of took things into
You were a play for yourself. Yeah. Okay.
It really was. Yeah. Even though it was at a lot of other people's, because so many people have worked so hard for this night. And then, it's just like me with a bad accent kind of cannibalized it. Shoot, what was I going to ask you? It was something that was good too.
She seems like theater.
Oh, yeah. So at a certain point, did it become were you able to laugh at the fact that it became like a comedy of errors, or did you never even get to that place of like, or were you always in a place of suffering whenever you were locked up?
So, I mean, it's, again, a complicated answer to that question.
Right.
When I was in prison, I realized that, like, my body sort of reset itself to a new emotional default setting. Where like I was the type of person who used to wake up in the morning and hear the birds sing and be like, yeah, another day, sweet. And I changed so that I woke up and I would wake up and say, another day. another day. We're going to get through this day. And I'm not going to think about tomorrow, because if I have to think about getting through tomorrow, it's not, I can't get through today. So I need to get through today.
It's almost like a recovery program. It's almost like somebody that's in like 12-step recovery. You know, they say one day at a time, that sort of thing.
Yeah, except you don't know if you're ever going to recover.
Yeah.
Because like I had no idea when I was ever going to get out, if I was ever going to get out.
Did it feel like it paused your ability to be like a family member? And
that was the hardest part. Actually, I had a moment this past weekend. I'm the oldest of 4 sisters, and my youngest sister is 11 years younger than me, and she just turned 21 this week. And a couple things to know about that. It means that when I left, she was under 10 years old. Oh. She was like 9 years old when I left.
Oh,
so she was
a fun age too.
Yeah, she was becoming a person, and I was gone. By the time I got back, she was a young woman with her badonkadonk and her nails, and like she was a young woman.
Oh yeah, these thoughts they call them.
And I wasn't there. I didn't get to be there for her and be her big sister as she was moving from child to young woman. And it hit me really hard over the weekend when like my dad was doing her 21 run, because like my dad got like a van and he had an itinerary. We were going to go to like the pool hall, and then we were going to do karaoke and
all the things she can do now that she's legal.
Yeah, exactly. And so like he got us all, piled us all in a van, and we all went out. And a lot of things were going on in my mind, but I was thinking, okay, I didn't get a 21 run. I turned 21 in prison, and that's fine. That's okay, because I'm here for my sister. But then the reminder that like this time had passed, and she was a young like she was a legit young woman now who could go drinking with me now. Like I missed her.
Yeah.
And she missed me, and I wasn't there. How
did you keep in touch? How were you able to maintain a sense of sisterhood while you were gone?
So I was writing letters every day. That was so what I would do.
Good for you. That's pretty empowering, I bet. Just to have that one thing that you can do.
It's the one thing, yeah. And that and sit-ups. But like, yeah, I got really good at sit-ups. But, I was allowed to have like a 10 pictures with me in the cell. And what I would do is when I was getting ready to do a letter, I would take the picture of the person that I was going to be writing to and just stare at it. And like it got to the point where it's like a crazy person. I would like touch their face and like try to feel like I was physically present with them. And then I would write a letter, and I would just like talk to the picture of them. And my littlest sisters were a little too young to know how to interact that way. And writing is not their medium.
Yeah.
I'm constantly rewriting their essays for them. But
you're from the past. Yeah, you're
I'm from the past. And then but the oldest of my younger sisters, she had to become the big sister all of a sudden, and she would write to me asking for advice for how to be the big sister. And that was huge. That meant a lot to me. I think even more than she knows. The fact that she just asked.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't there.
Yeah, she takes her on the role, kind of.
Yeah, and she recognized with me being gone that there were things about being the big sister that she didn't know, that I had been doing the whole time without her realizing it.
Wow.
And so so she grew to have like an appreciation for me that she didn't have before. But then coming home, what I found is, I thought that I was going to go back to being the person I was, and I was going to have the life that I had been stolen from for a while. I was just going to kind of go back to doing that, and that's not what happened. So like she's still kind of the big sister, and I'm kind of the weird alien person.
Do you feel like do you still feel like a sister? Do you feel like a stepmom? Do you feel like an aunt? I'm just wondering if there's a little bit of, not reality change, because obviously these are your sisters and this is your family.
Yes.
And but do you feel? Are you still able? Did being in prison, and I say locked up, I think it's pretty dope. But does it make you feel like, did you lose? Can you still feel their love as much as before? Do you think it affected your ability to feel like other people's?
So what it did is before all of this happened, I was very, very, very close to my sisters, and in the kind, and there's a closeness that you get by being physically present with someone. Like you just know you know their little, you know that they chew with their mouth open sometimes when they're looking at their phones, and you know those little tics that people have, the way that they pace themselves through life that you don't get when you are at a distance. And what I've found is I haven't yet been able to reclaim that kind of knowledge of them, and nor they of me, because we spent developmental periods of our life having very, very different life experiences, and so we have so much in common because we've gone through a trauma that affected us all, but we all experienced it very differently. And I think
that's so fascinating to think of how each person experienced it.
Yeah. So there's that's the whole tragedy of these issues, is it's not just the person at ground zero. It's the whole world around them that suddenly gets sucked into this black hole of suffering.
And, it seems like the part that really affects, or sounds like one of the things that affected you the most was that you, not even that people weren't there for you, that you couldn't be there for other people.
That was the hardest one.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can't replicate time lost with someone.
Yeah.
You can't. I can't go back and be there the first time my little sister, snuck out and got drunk and needed someone to pick her up at a party.
Yeah.
I wasn't there.
Yeah. Right.
That was my other little sister.
And do they must know how much you care, though. I feel like you seem like one of those people that it's easy for, or they would get used to it pretty quick. Chris, you could probably know, huh?
They know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they do.
But do you feel like is it part of it that you don't know if you'll ever be able to make it all the way up? If that makes any sense, kind of?
Yeah.
Like sometimes I feel like I love people, but they're never going to know how much I love them. And it's hard to really sometimes even show how much you really care about somebody, no matter if you what you do as a human, Yeah,
sometimes I do worry that the way that I communicate love is potentially alien to them. And I'm pretty easygoing. I'll go and have them put the makeup on me or do my hair or whatever. Those are nice ways that you can interact with someone, and just by spending time with them, doing something that they like. My little sister loves makeup, and so I can sit there and be like, "Do go nuts!" Do Picasso on me. It's great, and I can do that, and that's a great way to connect with her. But I worry that they don't know how to do that with me.
Oh, I see.
They don't know.
They may treat you different.
Yeah. Because I feel like they too are trying to reckon with the fact that everywhere I go, there's a doppelganger of me in the room, which is the Foxy Noxy, which is the trauma, which is the infamy, which is that experience.
The popularity. Yeah.
Well,
yeah, but all those things, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. I mean, I deal with a little bit of it myself. Even just as as my career has changed in the past year, it's become bigger.
Mm-hmm.
It's I'm my person, whoever I am sometimes to people is already there before I've got there.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing. Sometimes it's now I used to be able to be myself completely one-on-one, and now it's I find I have to they already have a head start with me. In one direction, positively or negatively, or even maybe just sideways.
Mm-hmm.
But they have a head start with our interaction before I even get to them.
Yeah.
And so I'm always either playing from ahead or playing from behind, and just trying to make things even. Most of the time I try and is what I feel like I'm trying to do.
And I feel bad because a lot of times what it means is you kind of have to have a conversation about the idea of you or the idea of me that's kind of sitting there between you, and you kind of have to deconstruct that just in order to reach them.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you also don't feel like you're on fair ground, and I feel bad for the other person as well, because they're well, I know you, you don't know me. Who does that make me? Who am I? And that sucks. So I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I'm an accused murderer. My bad. Right. Sorry to interrupt the episode. I got to tell you about this, that they have a lot of questions when you're thinking about the internet. and you are wondering, which of my online searches does the government have a right to know about? And I definitely have thought about that before. First of all, can dogs do menthols? That's one of mine. Obviously, Martians and butt stuff. That's another one. And another one is properties where you could, put a body. The answer, none of the above. If you have ExpressVPN, without ExpressVPN's protection, though, hackers, governments, ad companies, and ISPs all have full access to your data. I don't want them using my web history or video searches against me. That's why I use ExpressVPN every time I go online. ExpressVPN encrypts and reroutes your web traffic to any number of countries, keeping you safer and secure. ExpressVPN is the fastest VPN I've tried. It costs less than $7 a month and comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Protect your online activity today. You don't want these Muppets getting at you. And find out how you can get 3 months free at expressvpn.com/Theo. That's expressvpn.com/THEO. For 3 months free with a 1-year package. Visit expressvpn.com/Theo to learn more. Protect yourself. Don't let the government be knowing everything that you're doing. You have a right to your own privacy, and you have a right to take care of yourself. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. BetterHelp is something where, say you think you want to see a therapist and you're not even sure. Well, that's where BetterHelp can really help you out, because it's a place you can get online and actually meet a therapist. You can meet them over text, you can meet them over phone, you can meet them over even FaceTime and get a first experience with a therapist right there. It's not a crisis line. It's not self-help. It is professional counseling done securely online. You can start communicating in under 24 hours. The service is available for clients worldwide. BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches, so they make it easy and free to change counselors if you need. I remember one day I was having a tough day and I stopped in the car on the way here, and I was driving my car, and I stopped and I said, hey, I need some help. And then I got some BetterHelp right there. Next thing you know, I'm chatting with some lady, this blonde-haired lady therapist, and she helped me out. I'm feeling better. And then my phone died, actually, because I didn't have it charged up. But that was on FaceTime. BetterHelp wants you to start living a happier life today. And if you're listening today and you need some help, you can visit betterhelp.com/Theo and get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/THEO. And join the over 500,000 people taking charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional. That's betterhelp.com/THEO for 10% off your first month. And now back to our episode. Are there things that you miss? Like, I find, like, I was in the hospital for a little bit when I was young, right? A couple weeks, and I was sick, and I was scared, right? And my family was scared. But when I got out of there were still a couple things that, like, I really missed about it, even though it was like a scary time. Are there small things that you miss about being incarcerated that you didn't even, but like little things that people wouldn't even think about? I don't mean like, recess or anything, if you guys had that, but I mean, like, because rarely does someone get taken out of their life for any reason. I mean, unless it's getting abducted by aliens, or what happened to you, or if somebody falls in like a sinkhole or something. But there's very few opportunities to, like, kind of to get pulled. I mean, just in a moment, get taken out of your life on this total side path.
The only thing that I can think of is I wish I had more time to read now, and I had plenty of time to read. But honestly, I would never ever wish imprisonment on anyone. No, I think Sam Harris asked a really good question in his podcast where he says, like, the worst experience of your life, you would never want to go through it again, but is there anything that you're glad? Like, is there any part of you that is glad that you went through it? So, like, you wouldn't do it again.
Mm-hmm.
I would never do that again. I would never wish it upon someone. I think that the experience of being torn from the world and subjected to incredibly dehumanizing treatment in the prison system definitely gave me perspective of the different ways that like human beings suffer that I didn't know just because I was also 20. I didn't know.
Yeah, who can even really understand that at a large level?
Yeah. So like I was suddenly plunged into a very real world of human suffering that I would never wish upon anyone in like extreme ways. But I do love reading, and I don't get to read as much as I would love these days. So that's it's literally the brightest star that I can offer you right now, because prison sucks, and like locked up sounds cool, but it's not cool.
Yeah.
It's really not. And like I'm sorry to like be a Debbie Downer too and like kind of burst the bubble or anything, but it's
okay.
like it's really hard to put like a nice sheen on prison when it's really just a lot of people who are hurting and in pain and being and no one cares because they're supposed to be in pain.
Right.
And no one's getting better.
Oh, yeah. I could see that. I could really, really see that. I'm reading this book right now about I think it's called Connections by Joanne Hari. Is that book? Remember we tried to get maybe have them come in, and it's just talking about like they talk about like a large woman, a woman that suffers with obesity or eating disorders.
Yeah.
And that the treatment for it is all these different diets and stuff like that. And then one time they talk about whenever they sat down with the woman, she had gotten molested or sexually abused at a certain time when she was young. Mm-hmm. And that's when she started eating more so she didn't look attractive to men. Mm-hmm. So that if she didn't look attractive to men, then it would never happen again. Yeah, this book, it's really been, to me, it's been really neat. But it's just amazing how, like, the treatments that we have sometimes, and I think we're finding this out more now because we're a little bit more concerned with who people are on the inside, hypothetically, in some ways, than it used to be probably, 50 years ago when it was just like, oh, you're bad, you go to jail, we hang the keys over here. I think we're still migrating out of that whole kind of old philosophy.
Yeah.
Did you find, like, after being in there, in these environments, did you feel like it was effective? Did you feel like that the system is effective?
What I noticed is that the vast majority of people who were in there, whether they were guilty or not, the vast majority of them were guilty. All of them felt like victims, like they were being abused, like they were being abused by a greater system that is like, the justice system was being a bully towards them. Like
right.
They're a lot of times impoverished, a lot of times dealing with trauma and mental issues. A lot of times, they aren't making great choices, but they're also saying to themselves, well, how many great choices do I have? Like, I'm human garbage to you people.
Right.
And now you like lock me up in this environment to make me suffer even more. Fuck you. Yeah. Like, that's a lot of the...
Right, and then it gives them a whole other chip on their shoulder, kind of.
Exactly. And then they feel even more justified to, like, break the rules because they're like, you guys, like, didn't play the cards out neatly. Like, it's not fair. It's not fair.
Right.
And so, like, they're also victims of the unfairness of the greater structures that led them into the prison environment. And then it's, like, insult to injury to be in the prison environment. So.
And it's tough when you have so many people... And it's all a system that's very bureaucratic and stuff. And it's like, how do you, at that point, it's really hard to get one-on-one attention. It's hard to get really what you need. It's almost like a cattle system. I'm sure
it feels like that.
Does it?
Yeah. No, it's...
What were like your conditions like?
So, I've been only once into a prison here in the US to visit. I was doing like a yoga behind bars. I was like trying to support this organization called Yoga Behind Bars, which are these women who are going into prisons and trying to give people skills for like dealing with trauma through meditation or through just like body movements, because a lot of our trauma is being held in our bodies and we don't have access to them. And so they were trying to give them access to their bodies in order to experience it more positively.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, I do yoga with Adrian sometimes off of the internet, off of YouTube.
Adrian?
Yeah, have you ever seen it?
I have.
Yeah.
Yoga with Adrian?
She's just one of the first people that comes up when you do like yoga instructions.
She does good. Yeah, it's good. I mean, I like it. There's all different types, but anyway, yeah. So the conditions that are compared to the U.S. and the ones that you had in Italy, are those similar? Yeah.
So I didn't have to wear a uniform. Most of us just wore sweatpants because there were limitations on what you could wear. But mostly we all just lived in sweatpants 24/7. And another difference for me, and I think it again depends on prison to prison, but I was locked in my cell for most of the day. So there weren't like common areas where people were, working out or going to school. We didn't have those kind of facilities. So you were either trapped in your room or you had like your hour of outside time in this like concrete box.
And it wasn't nice out there?
No. It was a concrete box.
Oh, wow.
So
with a roof on it, or it's open?
I did not have a roof, thank goodness. So I could see the sun, I could see the sky.
And did you find yourself starting to like almost pray to the sun? Like, was there any did the sun become like this different friend that was out there? I'm just kind of wondering.
Depended on what side of the prison you were on.
Oh, really?
In the sense that like, depending on if your cell faced east or faced west, the sun could be your best friend if you were in the east because you got really nice morning sunlight. But if you lived in the west side, it became this excruciating torturer because like the sun would come in the summer and just cook you.
Oh.
And like it was a very happy day when I was moved onto the east side of the prison.
Moving on up.
Yeah, moving on up to the east side.
Were there people that were friendly in there?
Yes. And again, everything is complicated.
Right.
So,
I know these questions are kind of base in some way. Like, I'm just trying to like.
Yes. So I'm trying to give a scenario, right? Like, so
I'm trying to see how you stayed human and like with what other humans.
Certainly. So there are different kinds of relationships that you can develop in a prison environment that are resembling of friendly or friendship. A lot of times you try to develop some kind of relationship like that with your cellmate because you're trapped in a room with them. And you have to like problem solve and find solutions for how to live together when you're two very, very different people who are living on edge emotionally.
Wow.
And sometimes that works and sometimes that doesn't, depending upon a lot of factors, like what is your background? How do you like to spend your time? Do you like it? A lot of people inside will want to just watch TV all day and watch soap operas and like play cards. Great way to spend your time. Wasn't the way that I like to spend my time. I spent my time reading. And sometimes...
Did they think you were a nerd or anything like that?
Well, a lot of them, it was a little worse than that. Some of them felt like I was...
better than them?
Yeah. Because a lot of them were illiterate.
Yeah.
So...
Oh, yeah. You show a book to some illiterate people, dude. They're going to think you're Thomas Jefferson.
Totally. And like you're showing off. And like I had people who were experiencing mental illness who were very paranoid, who like when I was like writing letters or I was journaling, thought that I was writing about them. And because they couldn't read it, they were just convinced that it was about them. And I had someone like take my journal and just rip it to shreds because she was convinced that I was writing about her. Oh. And so like it's like so different than the real world because you're interacting with people who are living like animals, being treated like animals that can just get plucked up out of their cell and move and shipped off to another prison at any moment. So like any time, like any relationship that you might establish is also kind of a liability because you could also have that relationship taken away from you at any moment. Oh, wow. And so like you have to be careful about who you have a relationship and why, and usually it's a utilitarian kind of relationship. Like, oh, if I don't play cards with this person in my cell, they're going to get mad at me and they're going to gang up on me. So it's good for me to spend an hour of my day playing cards with this person because we're all keep peace. Yeah. So there's a lot of keeping peace more so than like camaraderie.
Right. A lot of just like mitigating what's going on, making sure that is there any like dating, or is there a dating life? Were there women that were attracted to you? Did you have to deal with that kind of thing in prison?
Yes. That's definitely a thing.
And I would almost think that would be a luxury. I've never been like homosexual, I don't think, anyway. I mean, I got caught up on some drugs one time, and I don't know what happened, but this guy had to go to the airport, but it was but yeah, I could imagine that things get,
So if you're wondering, I never hooked up with anyone, but I did have someone.
Did you have but even like, I've had friends that I like, but did you almost have somebody that you loved in a way? Like, because it was like,
No, I wasn't so lonely as that. I mean, I was fortunate that I always had a foothold outside of the prison, which was for me always the real world. Like, I never was so alone that I felt like prison was my world. And it's very easy to get to that place. So I had friends and family who were constantly riding with me. And also, like, love and sex were the last things on my mind at that point. Like, I could have continued a relationship with my co-defendant, who was my boyfriend before everything came out. But like, as soon as we got into that prison environment and the stakes were so heightened, and like it seemed like the only thing that mattered was like trying to get the truth out. The last thing that I was thinking about was like love and sex. I felt very alone.
Did parts of you die almost a little bit? Like, do they disappear a little? Because that's such a vibrant time for us in our lives to be like, just sexual, and to be like, not curious, but just to be alive.
Mm-hmm, yeah. So what I can say is that so I was in prison for 2 years before I was convicted, and then I was in prison another 2 years before I was acquitted the first time. And in the 2 years leading up to my conviction, I was entirely asexual. And then my conviction happened, and I was like, holy shit, I've just been sentenced to 26 years in prison. I guess I have to like reimagine my life as being an imprisoned life. And that's actually when I taught myself how to masturbate. I didn't know how to masturbate before then. And
was that 23, probably 22?
I was 22. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So nobody taught you in high school or something? I guess nobody's going to teach you, but
I was a late bloomer.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, I was a late bloomer. I never really felt comfortable with my own sexuality. And I never felt like I was a sexual human being. Like, a lot of people comment about like, oh, Foxy Noxy, like you have this look, you're like super hypersexual. But
what a dichotomy! I don't know if dichotomy is the right word, because I don't know that many of all the words that are right. But it's like, what a total opposite then.
Yeah,
how bizarre! Like,
yeah, I was not like a sexual person in high school. I was a virgin until college. And even then, I was like, I had to learn what an orgasm was. Like, it wasn't like an obvious thing for me. Yeah. And I didn't have good sexual experiences until like after prison, really.
I'm sure. Yeah.
So I just didn't know until I, no. Yeah. There was something before that.
Sorry, Chris. And Chris is her fiance who's here. He's really picked up the slack. That's what I heard.
It's true. We do have a really great sex life. And actually, we were on the way over here. My friend Madison, who has the biggest crush on
you.
She
sounds very nice. Sounds like a really cool, outgoing woman.
Yeah, she's great. And she sent me this one of your conversations with a young woman named Danielle, I think, who was a virgin, and then you were talking to her about losing her virginity. Yeah. And then we were like, oh my God, what if he asks you about sex? And I was like, well, I guess I'll just tell him everything. Because like everyone, like I've had someone do the really mean way of asking me about the whole Foxy Noxy thing, which is to be like, so are you a dominatrix? Like, is your
Jesus.
kink to like hurt people? Like, what is your fucking thing? Like, are you the kinkiest? Like, are you kinky? And I'm like, well, first of all, you're making kinky people sound like evil people, and kinky
Yeah.
people are great.
Yeah. It's
for
not like
the
they live in
record.
Transylvania.
No.
Yeah. They're good people.
They're good people,
Yeah.
and they're
it's just
all
2 lots over from the Ren Fair. Okay?
Exactly. I mean, they're up in the Ren Fair. You just have to ask the leather maker for the other stuff. But like, I'm really boring.
I'm not good at sex. So, I mean, I thought I was good at it a little bit, like kind of around high school, and then it's been a little bit, not downhill, but it's been certainly going off the edge of the hill since then.
Really? Why?
Yeah. I just don't like, it makes me real nervous, I think, a lot of times. And then,
It's a form of communication, I've discovered.
yeah, so I could see that making me nervous, yeah.
Okay. Well, you communicate for a living. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
barely though. Barely. Like, I don't even know how I got this job sometimes, but I mean, I'm happy to have it. I just, but yeah, I just can't imagine like what that would be like. 'Cause then you're in this whole other world. Everybody's like, oh, you're this sexual being. And you're like, were you just like, did your whole life must have seemed like almost like a joke or something? Did it be like, what is going on?
What it ended up becoming was it became whatever anybody wanted it to become in order to fit the narrative that they were pushing.
Wow.
In order to make the money that they were making. And that continues to this day, where like someone decides that like my existence only means this, like Amanda is a villain. Therefore, the confirmation bias comes down again, and everything she does, if it's a good thing, that's a nice thing, well, we're just going to ignore that. And if it's something that I like, anything possible to like flip and like distort and rip out of context to turn into the worst possible light, like they'll do that. And that continues to be this to this day. So there's this like I'm constantly reminded of the avenues people or the actions people are taking to see another human being, like you asking me to sit down here across from you and you talk to me about Ren Fair. Like, I feel like you're trying to see me as a person, and that's so refreshing. And like, I get why my friend has a crush on you. And then like, and like communication, communication is sexy, right? Like, so, and it is a form of, communication is a form of sex, and sex is a form of communication. So if you think of it that way, it should be easy.
Yeah.
But then like, and like the on the other flip side of it, like it is so ugly when it doesn't matter who you are or what you do or how much you reach out to a human being, like they just shut down, and there's a wall of hatred that comes from being a puppet in their eyes. Like you're just a puppet, you're just an object, you're an idea, and you don't get to be treated like a human being.
Wow.
I don't know. It's so weird. I don't know if this is just me.
No, this makes a lot of sense, and it actually leads into something like the media did you so wrong.
And in some ways, the media did me so right. Like, I think that one thing that's important is...
And when you say that, though, what do you mean by that?
I mean that you can't put the media... Like, a lot of people act like the media is this, like, big, one-eyed monster that, like, stomps around the world and crushes people with its might. And it's not. It's like conglomeration of people who have platforms.
Right.
And have the ability to analyze information or not. And... I think that there was journalism that was asking hard questions and attempting to unravel the easy narrative that was being pushed out there. And then there were people who were just like, oh, it's such an easy, quick buck to like do a salacious headline and just repeat that headline that someone else wrote over in Italy, and like I don't have to think about it. It's just an easy article.
It's just it's a financial thing.
Yeah.
There's not even a human edge to it. Mm-hmm. But I guess what I was thinking of is now, like, is it hard to now? It's like, I know you have a podcast, you have a platform, and you're talking a lot about justice. Mm-hmm. And your podcast, I want to get the name of it again. I'll mention it at the beginning, but what is it again?
The Truth About True Crime.
The Truth About True Crime. And true crime is, I mean, I watched probably 2 episodes of something last night, and I don't even know what it was, but it's like, dude, I love it. If there's somebody, if they find some bones or there's buried treasure.
What do you love about it?
Count me in.
I'm curious about this because like I was never a true crime person until I became the subject of a true crime. And so I come at the true crime genre not as like a fan, but as someone who understands the human consequences of true crime. And so I'm always trying to unpack the easy narrative that surrounds a lot of these crimes.
That's a good question you have, and I'll answer right before, so I don't forget this question. Do you feel like then, because so many people are so obsessed with crime, with true crime, with other people's really trauma, it's almost
the worst experiences of people's lives. That's the story. Yeah.
Right. Do you feel almost like we needed someone, and not even in an egotistical way, do you ever feel like we needed someone to go through this gauntlet that you went through, to come out of it with your perspective now? Because I've never even heard someone say that I look at it from this other perspective, right? Because that perspective could really help change a lot of other people's, the way that we view and consume this stuff at such a like crazy rate. Do you feel like a little bit that?
I mean, I don't know. That's kind of like a fate question, where it's like, oh, did this need to happen? Like, I don't know if it needed to happen. It did happen. And I find myself constantly up against, like, having a perspective that doesn't match up with the perspective that most people have. Wow. You know, like when Epstein killed himself in prison, a lot of people's like first sort of flippant reaction to it was good riddance. The motherfucker like went after young girls and like abused young girls. And that is all true. He was a motherfucker. But did he deserve to die in prison? Did he deserve to, is it our responsibility now that he was in our custody to, like, you know, I believe that anyone should be allowed to kill themselves anytime. Like that's a different issue. But like when he's in our custody and we are responsible towards that person, we should not be flippant about someone killing themselves when they are in our care. It's, you know, like that's, for me, like I was like, that's like someone else killing themselves. Like it's not something to be flippant about. Right. Because you're saying it reflects on our ability to, so that a prison also is a place where there should be care. Is that kind of? Yes, absolutely. Like these are people who are now at our mercy. Like that's the reality of a prison environment, is you have put someone fully at the mercy of our justice system and our society, and we are responsible for that person now. And it's not just like a good riddance. Like a lot of people have that like attitude of like good riddance, throw away the key. I hope he gets raped in prison. I hope that they, you know, kill themselves. And that's not what prison is for. And it's funny. I think it's some of my thought was I thought that they would hopefully find a way to learn from this guy. Sure. Yeah. I mean, that was originally the intention of prison. Like before there was prison, there was dungeons where you were kept until you actually had the punishment that you were supposed to get, which was a corporeal punishment. You had your hand cut off, you were beaten, you were killed. That was the punishment for a crime. And then people came along who were like, that is just brutal. We need to understand that human beings have souls, because they were religious, and they have the opportunity to have some kind of redemption. But we have to kind of force that redemption on them. So we're going to remove them from society and put them in a position of forced contemplation. And that was what the prison environment was for. But it was also like weirdly a way of punishing people's souls instead of their bodies. So like the prison environment, weirdly, the purpose of it was to kind of be a soul crushing experience for the sake of redemption. I don't know how successful it is at redeeming, like redemption. Does redemption come from being soul crushed? Like in my experience, no. In my experience, most of the people who end up in that soul crushing environment just end up hating society even more and feeling motivated to like be angry at society. And so like it's the issue of like, what do we do with people who have done wrongs in society is really, really complicated and has to address like how human beings really react to external things being forced upon them. And I think most people's reaction is just fuck those guys. They're human garbage. Yeah. And you know, human garbage or not, they're human and they belong to our society. The recyclables, you're saying. Yeah. So, yes. You've been in there with them. Yeah. 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 Was it tough to probably show people how much you cared while you were in there? Like if you're a caring person, I imagine, and you go into, it would be tough probably because it would be hard to show. Some people are so, you know, some people have
done so many bad things or in so much shame or just filled with hatred or suffering in different ways that it would probably be tough at sometimes to show people that you cared even.
Actually, it's really easy to show someone that you care.
In prison, I mean, though.
In prison or even outside of prison, I think the thing that to show someone that you care is if you're present with them right now, because right now is the only thing that matters. It doesn't matter what happened yesterday. It matters what's happening right now between you and me, and I don't care what you did yesterday. Can I help you write a letter to your mom because you can't write? Like, I can do that. I don't care what you did.
Right.
And that's the way that I showed caring to people, is like I never asked them what crime they did. I didn't care. It didn't matter to me. And it does matter in like the greater scheme of things, because like we can't just act like crimes don't matter.
Right.
Of course. But if we're talking about like having a human connection with another person, all that matters is right now. And that is giving that person the opportunity to be a better version of themselves right now. Not tomorrow, not yesterday, just right now. And that's all that matters.
With the platform that you have now, is it tough to use do you ever feel like confused or disjointed about using media now, because like realizing the power that it has, after you kind of went through a lot of, different pressure cookers of it, or, it was kind of put upon you in a lot of ways. Did it take some time for you to say, okay, I'm going to use the same like airwaves and wavelengths that kind of damaged me
Certainly.
to fight my own fight for what to me kind of feels like justice sort of seems to be.
Yes, very central to the whole issue is the idea of justice. Does justice exist? Is justice is a construct that we've created and that we have to agree upon? Is justice a consensus? Is justice something universal? How do we enact justice in our world? Like, these are all questions that I'm grappling with every day. And it wasn't so much a question for me about the ethicalness or not of like being a media person, because again, I don't think of media as this monstrous entity. It's a collection of individuals, and it's a tool, and you can use that tool for good or you can use that tool for bad. And I think that I can use that tool for good. The question for me was, what is that going to cost me? Because every time I put myself out there in the world, it comes with a cost.
Yeah.
There's a question. Like me being here right now talking to you, it's not just a conversation. It's an opportunity for us to like share ideas with people.
Right.
And how people react to those ideas is one thing. How they react to us as human beings is another. And, for a long time, I was hiding. Like, I didn't want to have to be answerable to other people's hatred and judgment that wasn't coming from a place of judging even me. It was judging an idea of me that had been created not of me. And so like being in constant conversation with Foxy Knoxy is difficult. But I've realized that I do have a different perspective that I think is useful, and at the very least is in service of people who are suffering, who don't often get recognized as victims of a thing, as victims of a justice system. And I try to give voice to that. I feel a responsibility, particularly because a lot of people who go through these issues, nobody cares. A person could have spent there are plenty of people I know who spent like 20 plus years in prison and no one cares.
Yeah.
And for some reason, they care about me because I I'm a girl. Like, I don't know. Like, it's whatever the reasons are that people get so mad or so interested in me is an opportunity for me to flip that around and go, but did you know that like there's not only is there a human being in me, but there's a whole world of humanity that's behind the kind of hatred that we just throw at people who are accused of crimes.
Wow.
And what can we do about that? So like, I feel a responsibility, and I feel that media is a very powerful tool that should be used ethically and responsibly. And I try to do that. Am I successful? Am I as successful as the people who like write really flippant headlines without doing any research in order to just vilify the next person? No, unfortunately, no.
I think you will be, though.
You
Do
think
feel
so?
that?
I have no
really
idea.
do. I think you have such a unique and special way of like being able to, first of all, think and talk at the same time. That's a massive skill. And also,
Isn't that your skill?
Huh? No. That's not my skill. It really isn't.
I don't know. Like I saw you. Like I was.
It really is not my skill.
I mean, I saw you talking to Danielle the Virgin, and you were just kind of there, and you were present with her.
Yeah.
And like listening is thinking. Like listening is feel. I think thinking and feeling often get like separated out as if they're like separate things. But I think feelings are information, and if you're processing your feelings, you're thinking. You're processing information.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that's what you do with a lot of people.
Yeah, I think I was good at it in the beginning. I think I'm still okay with it. I just have to get a little bit more connected with myself. I just kind of like lost connection a little bit. And just even in the past like month or two, I've just been kind of exhausted a little.
Yeah.
So I realized I got to kind of recharge my batteries and stuff. And even just thinking about different things, you know.
Well, what's going on with you?
I think I've just been burnt out.
Yeah.
I was just like doing so much stuff that I was basically kind of living my dreams, and I couldn't even like feel, I wasn't having like any joy almost. I was like, man, I'm just.
You know what? Like I've kind of
exhausted.
had that like this whole summer is just been like nose to the grindstone, like trying to tell these stories about vigilantism for this season of the podcast.
Right.
And like on the one hand, I'm having incredible conversations with people who are like in real moments of their lives, making decisions that take them out of the norm. Like a guy who's a trucker who like goes around and tries to expose child predators online, and a guy who then puts on a mask and a cape and goes out and like beats up people who are bullying other people. Like these are people who are taking action, and they're vigilantes, and they're taking action, they're making decisions, and I'm having these incredible emotional conversations with them. And then I go back and I just like, you have to just plug and write and research and just like get the work done. And it has been draining for me too.
Well, you have to do all the work that people didn't do that they didn't do for you probably too.
Yeah. And that is satisfying to me, because it's like, I know what people didn't do for me.
Yeah.
And I don't want to make that mistake with someone else. Like I know what I needed.
Yeah.
And like the ability to offer that to someone else is like so satisfying.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you have like incredible conversations with people, but then you kind of come away from them and you're like, where am I? Like I've just been like in that other person's world, and now I have to get work done, and I have to schedule meetings, and I have to like, you know, do all of the technological work and like the emails, the endless emails.
Yeah.
And it feels like less meaningful than that one thing. I mean, you got to get out there. Like I've been telling myself I need to go swing dancing more.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean,
You know, I think that sounds like a nice thing. Does Christopher swing dance or no?
yes, we are legit swing
Oh,
dancers.
you guys are hot on you guys are hot to trot, huh?
What do you do though?
What do I like to do? Well, it was funny because I like doing comedy, and I've always liked it. And then recently, it just became a little bit. It just became like a little bit me. Like I felt like I was on a conveyor belt of my own life, and I was just kind of going, and I was like, kind of there at the controls, kind of, but I wasn't really like involved almost, even though I was doing everything.
Yeah.
And so now I'm trying to take a little bit of a step back. Actually, I got a job. I'm going to do some work out of town for about a month and a half, and so it's going to keep me in one place, and I'm just going to take a little bit of time a little more time to myself.
Is it like a media kind of or comedy thing, or is it like a construction job? Where you're, like,
It's a
building
film,
house?
actually. It's going to be
cool.
a movie. Yeah, this guy. This actor hit me up personally just about a movie. You know, I never really had any intentions of doing anything like that. But this guy, like, literally, like 3 people in the world maybe could have asked me, and I feel like this guy maybe was one of them. So I'm going to try it out. And also, I think part of me just needs a new experience. It's not even like a big role.
That's what I was going to say. Like,
but I need something to kind of just kind of remind me of what's going on, you know, just a little change of pace.
but also that like life can be different. Like
Yeah.
that's the other thing that I think new experiences are so important about, is like we kind of all sort of dig our own trench, and then we forget that like life could be a different way. And like I always have this like weird little fantasy in the back of my head of like disappearing into like the mountains and making cuckoo clocks.
Yeah.
And that's like my weird little
I
fantasy
could see that.
when
I
I
could see
feel
you doing
like
that.
too stuck, and I'm like, I'm just too stuck in this fucking life that I'm in. Like, I'm like, or I could just go and like be a troll in the mountains and make cuckoo clocks. That could also be my life.
I think. When you look back at your when you originally got incarcerated, do you see how like you don't seem like somebody that would ever kill someone. You don't even seem like somebody that would probably. I could see you maybe trying, jarring up some fireflies overnight. Honestly,
What?
Fireflies?
What does that
Or
mean?
what are those things that?
Lightning bugs,
Lightning
fireflies.
bugs?
Jarring them up.
I could see you jarring
and then
them up.
and the poor things like
But they
suffocate.
died. But yeah, it was an accident. You didn't know you were going to kill a couple of them. You know what I'm saying? You had all good intentions. You just wanted like a little nightlight that you could carry with you to the restroom. I could see you
It
kind
would
of
be
doing,
magical. It would
Yes,
be very
I could see you
whimsical.
doing something like that. But do you see when people do you see like that just? But I could see how people would look at you and think like, oh, maybe she's whimsical, or did you see looking back like, oh, maybe I could see? Were you able to even recognize like, oh, I see how people looked at me, and maybe the face I make or the make or the way I smile or my sense of humor or what I think is fun and they. Could you see how they transpose that, or did you think that it was mostly just malicious?
I mean, I think that most of it was something that people were projecting onto me, and I was a convenient canvas for that because nobody knew who I was, right? Like I was a nobody. And so that meant that I could be an anybody. And then once people decided what that person was, like having that be corrected, like, yes, you see me right now. This is how I am. And I honestly feel like a lot of the negative things that people have felt about me have been a projection of some kind of like nightmarish imagination that they've just projected onto me. Because again, it's like a confirmation bias. You see what you want to see. And if you want to see like someone could look at me right now and say, oh, I'm sitting here, I'm daring to sit here like talking to someone as if like I am not a fucking murderer, and like me, I'm just constant, like just my very, like a lot of people feel that my very existence is an affront to Meredith's memory, and that like the very fact that people even know my name and know that I exist is an offense that I am committing against Meredith's family. And so like when my own just existence is a problem, like anything can be a problem.
Right.
So
it must be is it sometimes a battle to get going every day in some ways? Like, is it like, or does some days it just you kind of have moments where it just, you forget that, not forget, but.
I never forget. I don't think I'll ever forget. But my life is not just what other people think of me.
Yeah.
In fact, the majority of my life is not that. The majority of my life is who I love and what work I'm doing, because I love the work that I'm doing. It's the question of now what, and the beautiful thing about my life right now is I can ask that question. And I suppose that the question never fully went away. Even in prison, I was thinking, well, I guess this is my life. I didn't think this was going to be my life, but how do I live my best life? And
That's so brave.
I don't know. I mean, it's that or kill yourself. Like
Yeah.
it really is.
Did you like? I just wonder sometimes. I guess a lot of us always. I guess here's a lot of people wonder if they went to prison who they would be.
Oh, sure. One thing. Okay, here's something that's like really sad. A thought that I have, again, like I feel like I'm such a.
I don't think so.
Okay. I worry that I wouldn't be a great person if it weren't for everything that I went through. Like I would be an okay person. I've always been a nice person. I've always like rooted for the underdog, and I did, I was, doing musicals, and I would probably still be going to Ren fairs, but like and that makes you a good person.
I think it helps a little.
Yeah, but like, before all this happened, I didn't know about what poverty and mental illness looked like and how that affected people. And I didn't know what the justice system was doing to people. And I never was on my radar.
You never would have known.
I never would have known. And so like, I think that I would have lived a much more clueless existence. But I hope not. I hope that like I would have had other experiences that would have allowed me to grow. It's hard to say though. I hate playing the what if game because on the one hand, like I do think about I wasn't there and I wasn't there when my sister turned into a teenager and I wasn't there to see her. Like I wasn't there to like go and get her training bra with her. I wasn't there. And that means that, and I'm never going to get that back. But on the other hand, like I got a crash course in humanity, and I feel like I've done a lot of hard work to absorb meaning and compassion from all of that, and I'm proud of that, and I want to share that with people, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems. Man, it's such. There's so much like. I guess kind of like forgiveness in your story, sort of, or not forgiveness, but just it's like you didn't even kind of take that route of like blame and
a lot of people ask me about forgiveness, and I'm like, well, I don't even feel like I've
you kind of took this whole other route.
Yeah, there's
where it's
like floating above. Yeah,
your perception of it all. Do you feel like do you relate to different characters now, like villains? Whenever you see stuff on television, do you relate to more like Jessica Rabbit or Cruella de Vil? Or Jessica was trouble. People like to think she was just cute, but she was trouble.
She was trouble, but she was also just had Roger Rabbit's back the whole time.
Yeah.
So like sweet. Yeah, I've been compared to Jessica Rabbit before, which is hilarious to me. But from the I'm not bad, I'm just drawn that way kind of way. So people have used that on me before. I don't relate to Cruella de Vil because I love animals.
Right.
But get me in a room with Cruella de Vil, and I think that I could uncover things about her that I kind of pride myself on being willing to speak to anyone. I will talk to anyone. I've lived with people who killed their own children. So like I feel comfortable speaking to someone and being willing to like be present with them again. Like it's not like who you are right now is a product of all of the things that came before you, but I'm interested in the things that's happening right now.
Wow. And
there could be something blossoming right now that's
you're like a humanitarian. You're like a momentarian almost.
I mean,
if that's a thing.
I want to give everyone the opportunity to be a human being and to grow. And to be different and to then what my expectation is going to be. I'm really open to that. I don't think that makes me gullible or silly because I can tell when I've definitely had encounters with people who are very dangerous and who hurt me. And I've learned from those experiences from allowing myself to open up to people who were hurtful to me.
What makes you hopeful, I think, which is something that's very nice to have, and someone has to be that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that everyone is sort of motivated not out of like evil intentions, but out of when people do things that are wrong, it's because they misunderstand what they're going to do. They misunderstand where their motivations are coming from, and they misunderstand their effect on people. Or I guess, I mean, there are some people who are just fucking like beating people up and raping people and killing people, and they know what they're doing. But a lot of times they come from a place of feeling entitled or justified, and like to unpack how they got to that place of feeling justified and entitled enough to enact a violence on another human being is
that's where we could solve things. That's where we could solve it. Almost everything, it feels like.
Yeah.
It feels like sometimes we're fighting
it's not enough for me to like point out, oh, you did this because you were feeling entitled, like you're an entitled asshole. I want to like go and be like, but how did you get there?
Right. How did you get there, you entitled asshole?
Yeah.
Right. I want to find the entitled Lord's testing. Let's get back up the system.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah, it's funny. It's like, the people aren't in the end of it all, people aren't the problem. And it's whatever has caused us to behave these ways is is the problem, you know? And yeah, sometimes you wonder if it's defeatable or not, but the only thing that makes you feel good is to try and fight it.
Yeah, and I think to try to see it.
Right.
Because I think that a lot of people don't want to like look that far down because they feel like it's justifying bad behavior. But I don't think understanding bad behavior means you're justifying it.
Interesting.
I think that
because I sometimes have wondered while we've been speaking, like, okay, is she just trying to justify that people behave badly, like in these systems and stuff? But I want to see what you're saying. But having an understanding of it, because then if you can help them understand it too.
Yeah.
Because, man, imagine what it feels like probably to have killed someone and not even have any clue why.
Yeah.
And then that's how you're just living.
Totally. Yeah. And like I've talked to women who killed their kids because they were feeling postpartum depression and they didn't have a good support system around them, and they just felt like they had a breakdown. They had a mental breakdown of like, I can't handle my own life. And the only thing that I know to do right now in this, like, I'm trapped in my life, is to put my baby in a garbage can. I can't think of anything else to do. And that I've talked to that person, and she feels terrible for what she did, and she can never escape it, and she constantly feels like she's falling in black holes and can never get out of it. But like, you know, I understand that she felt like how she felt when she did that bad thing, and that doesn't
empowering
justify
people
it.
with understanding is there is something empowering about that,
and empowering them to like get out of that place is also good. Like I think that right now there's this kind of movement for sort of like defining people as one thing and then saying you are that thing and you will be that thing forever and like fuck you, and that's not how human beings work.
But that's changing, though, I think. Like, even did you see Joe Rogan interview Bernie Sanders? Did you happen to see that?
Oh, no, I didn't see that, no.
And whatever thoughts you're on politics, and I don't talk much about politics, but it was just interesting to see a long-form conversation with a politician. It just gave you way different ideas of who that man was kind of as a person.
Instead of sound bites.
Yes, instead of sound bites. It was really fascinating, I thought. Did you think, Nick?
Yeah, it was great. They need more of that. He's done it with Tulsi Gabbard too. If every single candidate could do it, I think we'd all be more informed.
Yeah.
We would be better off, for sure.
But, so I think especially through podcasting and stuff, that the hope that you're talking about, I think it's growing. You know, I really
think
believe
that's
that.
fair. Yeah, no,
we talk about it a lot on here. I really think it's growing. I mean, I especially think with Rogan and talking to Bernie Sanders, I think it's going to change the entire landscape of like how people accept how they learn who a person is.
Yeah.
So I think, and you seem like you're going to be like a operative, like a black ops professional on like, you're very great at communicating with people.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, it's a great skill. I'm sitting here the whole time wishing that I was you instead of me.
Why?
Just because you're just better at talking, and it's like it's just more organized. I have this question for you. So you've been engaged now, and you guys have now how does that go? You guys had such a wild engagement. The meteor landed, a meteor of love.
Yes.
And which is really cool. It kind of reminded me of like chivalry and like, it reminded me when I was in junior high, dude. I had acne, bro. I mean, I had a lot of acne.
Oh my God, I had the most acne.
Did
Remember
you?
how I never got laid in high school? Yeah.
Bro, I would smile and some of my acne would like bust if I smiled too big.
It was just like pain. I just had like those deep ones, like a deep pain.
Those
It was
are
like it's deep as my shame. Like that's how deep my acne was. It was so bad.
Yeah, there's no top to it. There's not even a zit.
It's just a deep anger that's a rock in your face. It's so bad.
But at that time, I walked across the basketball court and like I got on my knee and like gave a rose to some girl, like, you know, and she had some real thighs on her, bro. But she was really beautiful. And so anyway,
The best of us have thighs.
yeah,
on us.
that's the best one. Yeah, and I really do. I've got a butt like a Down syndrome girl, but and no offense if anybody has Down syndrome either, but anyway, it just kind of reminded me of that. It was like, oh, here's some nice chivalry going on.
Well, the gesture, right? Like
Yes, the
a
gesture. That somebody
Yeah.
took time, that he thought in advance.
Yep.
What are some things that attracted you to your current fiance?
Oh, that's a great question. Thank you for asking.
Well, I know he cared enough to come with you. I just think it's, I think, yeah. And I'm curious as to like how you were able to like, I guess how someone like you like looks, how they accept like, other people's care or how they notice it,
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the wonderful special things about Chris is when I first met him, he did not Google me. He didn't really know much about the case. And actually, maybe I should just give you our origin story. Do you want our origin story?
I'll take it. Yeah.
Okay,
of
cool.
course. Since after the meteor, I need to know.
You need like the
I need to know where the superheroes began.
So our origin story is that I was doing local arts correspondence for a local newspaper under a pseudonym around like 2015. And I was doing arts correspondence. So I was going to plays, writing reviews, doing all that kind of thing. And I was given this debut novel by these two novelists. And I read it, and it was hilarious and heartbreaking. And I laughed and I cried, and it was so smart. And so I wrote this rave review, submitted it to the paper, and that was going to be the end of it. Except the very next day, I walked out of my apartment building, and across the street in like the diner window was like a concert poster before a book reading for this book that I had just read. And I was like, that's coinkydink. Like, I never go out, but maybe I'll go to this book reading. So I did. And when I got there...
Wow, so you felt susceptible to a poster for a book reading.
Yes, I did.
And the concert before.
Remember, I'm a nerd.
Yes.
So...
No, I wonder who falls susceptible to those posters. And now...
This girl. 2 thumbs, this person. And so I went, and what I witnessed was these 2 guys. One of them is this like big, bald military guy with a lisp, and his best friend who had like stripes carved into his beard and like Elton John t-shirt and like glasses, and it was the most beautiful bromance I had ever seen.
I can see that.
And I asked them for an interview, so they invited me over to Chris's house. And we did an interview, but that kind of devolved into drinking scotch and watching Star Trek and like meandering out into the like neighborhood throughout the evening and just kind of like shenanigans. And at the end of that, Gavin, his best friend, this military guy, gave me this big bear hug. And Chris reached out and was like, to shake my hand and said, we should be friends. And, that's a throwaway kind of thing, except like this came a month after I was fully exonerated.
Oh, wow.
And it was the first time I thought, oh, I can make friends in the real world, like a real person. And so they became like my first friends after I was fully exonerated. And, life went on. And
friendship will escalate.
Yeah, friendship will escalate. And so 9 months later, we started hooking up and dating. Poor Chris, like he has to, his relationship has been with me, but it's also kind of been with that like doppelganger version of me in the room. Like my trauma is an ever-present part of my life. Little anecdotes about like, oh, have you seen Wall-E? And I was like, when did it come out? Because I was probably in prison. Like that kind of thing just like comes up.
Yeah, you can't even play fuck, marry, kill at all without somebody being like, well, that's a little. Do people say that all the time?
Oh, all the time. It's me, Casey Anthony, and who's the other one? In Fuck, Marry, Kill. It's another person. And Jodi Arias.
But do people say things to you all the time and they're like, oh man, I didn't even realize that I can't say that. Like does that happen sometimes or not really?
Oh no. I am super accommodating and have a sense of humor about the whole thing. Like
seems like it.
I'm not going
it's your
to be
life.
like rumph.
Right.
But like I understand when people are in a space where it's just like I can't laugh about that. I don't know. I did have one comedian make a joke about me once, and it came at just a really bad time. Like it came on the heels of him meeting me in a very different environment. He was actually interviewing Chris about his book. And he didn't know it was me, and I just kind of happened to be there. I was like, I was doing some cross stitch in the corner.
You're always, in every story, you're like in the 1700s. I
know, but it was a Super Mario cross stitch, so it was modern day.
Understood.
Yeah. So I was doing a Super Mario cross stitch in the corner, and so like this guy doesn't really notice me, and it's only after the interview, after we left, that he realized it was me, and. 6 months go by, and my little sister, for her birthday, wants to go out to see this comedian. And so we all go out, we all get dressed up, like all the girls doing the girly thing and going out to see this comedian that she likes. And the opener for this comedian is this other guy who met me 6 months ago, but didn't realize who I was. And he starts out his bit with, you know how, like, you don't know when there's, like, a famous person in the room with you until after they've left? And then he goes on this shtick where he's like, man, you can't, like, leave me in a room with Amanda Knox. She'll kill me with her knitting needles. And it was just not a good joke.
Right.
Like, it wasn't a good joke, but it was also just, it hurt because, like, on the one hand, my little sister was like, it's my little sister's birthday, and suddenly my name gets dropped,
right.
and like
So
it's suddenly
like,
everyone's like, the focus is on me, and there's like, Amanda, is she going to be okay? Like, they're talking about her, they're making jokes about her killing people with knitting needles, and so on the one hand, it upset me because it took us out of like my sister's birthday, and on the other hand, it upset me because it's like, this guy met me, and I was like,
being you.
I was just being me. I was doing Super Mario cross stitch in the corner, and he felt like the joke to make about that situation was, she'll kill me with knitting needles, and it's like, that is so easy and so mean. I don't know. It felt like, like I expect it when people don't know me and haven't met me in person to like make jokes at my expense because they just don't think I'm a human being. And I wasn't expecting like the person who, it would be like if you went out and did a comedy thing after like having this conversation and was like, oh, I better
it hurt your feelings. Or
if you made a joke about like, about me killing you in the room or something, like it's not a good joke. Like if you want to make a joke, like I'm fine with the people making jokes about me, but like make them good jokes. I don't know.
Keep her around, you can get away with anything.
Yeah. Everyone will think I'm guilty. Like that's a good one, right? So
Amanda did it.
Yeah, exactly. And like the joke that I say around everyone is like, you're not allowed to die around me because I don't care what you did. Like I'm like, if someone give that guy a Heimlich maneuver because I'm 0 for 1. I am 0 for 1. Like I can't like deal with this.
Nobody's gonna believe this.
No one's gonna believe me. Even like.
Yeah, you only get one get out of jail in 4 years card.
I guess so.
Yeah. So you and Chris, and so you guys have a wedding date set yet or no?
Yeah, February 29th, which is Leap Day. We've
a couple of nerds.
I know, but even better, and this is like the best. So like we took like the kind of crystal of that first thing, and we were like,
and I was referencing a video. You guys don't know, I was referencing a video on YouTube that you can see of their proposal.
Yeah, so Chris basically made a meteorite fall and crash land in my backyard, and inside the meteorite wasn't just like a ring, it was a broken data crystal from the future Encyclopedia Galactica that was like Wikipedia of our future together. And he was like, wow, I guess we have a future together. I guess that means, do I like ask you now? I guess it's really happening now. Will you marry me? And like that was like the game was like, oh, the future says that I propose to you right now. So I guess I have to propose to you right now. And so what we've done is we've built a story around that where the data crystal came rocketing back in time because us in the future went to the Encyclopedia Galactica and looked ourselves up and broke our time stream. So our time stream has been broken, and now we are only hypothetical Amanda and Chris getting married. And unless everyone we love comes together into one bubble outside of space and time and knits our time stream together, then we don't exist anymore. So
still knitting then. More knitting it ends with.
Yeah.
Wow. That's cool. I like it's really cute. And it's just it's still it's like a lot of make-believe, It's cool, though.
I love to play.
Yeah.
Dancing is playing. Getting dressed up in costumes is playing.
You've always been like that.
I've always loved to play.
Yeah.
And music is playful. Like if you're singing and playing music together, that's play because you can, like, you never know what the next person is going to happen and you just kind of like bounce off of them. I love play. And I love kind of like getting people out of their shells to play with me. And I think that if you give people an excuse to put on a costume, they'll do it, but they need an excuse. I don't need an excuse. I'll put on a costume. costume at any time. But like a lot of the people I love need an excuse. And so it's not going to be Halloween. It's going to be February 29th.
It's going to be a wedding.
Yeah.
Wow, it's beautiful. Congratulations on so much going on in your life.
Thank you.
I texted too the guy Payne Lindsay. Do you know who he is? He did
I love Payne Lindsay. He's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to try to connect you guys. I don't know if you'd
we
ever
have been connected.
Oh, you have?
Yes, we ran into each other at a true crime convention.
Oh, cool.
Of course.
Yeah. No, I was just thinking a few minutes ago. I was like, I wonder who, maybe if she was gonna, have a guest or.
He's actually invited me to be on one of his new podcasts, but
nice.
I think everyone's supposed to be anonymous, so maybe I just ruined it.
Oh.
No, it's fine.
Congratulations. Thanks so much for coming in. Do we have any other questions, Nick? Did some come in from the viewers or did we cover it?
Oh, we have a couple Patreon, but I was wondering like how familiar you are with some of the really big true crime stories like Serial and Making a Murderer, and if you see any like parallels with your case in them, or if you have specific like you think they did it or didn't do it in those instances. I know
people love those didn't or didn't do it. Yeah. I'm aware of both those cases. So Adnan Syed and Brendan Dassey. So I am good friends with one of Brendan Dassey's attorneys, who's an expert in false confessions. I think that there's a flagrant abuse of his rights. He was forced to falsely confess, and that is the only evidence that they used to convict him. It's obscene that his conviction wasn't overturned.
It's obscene that he's in there.
It's obscene that he's in there, and Stephen Avery, the question is a little more complicated, and I don't know the facts of his case as well. But I know also through my friend that Brendan Dassey, it's just ludicrous, and he needs to get out of prison now. And anything anyone can do to help matters. And like one of the things that I'm trying to do to help in my own way is just try to raise awareness of false confessions and coercive interrogation techniques, and how police. Once again, like in these environments, people think that if you make a false confession or a false admission or a false accusation, like that it's coming from you, when in fact it's like the police are authoring a narrative and you have to just sign on. And like they bully you and psychologically torture you until you can't take it anymore and you're willing to sign on to anything just to make it stop.
Oh, I can imagine.
So,
4 or 5 hours of torture, and that's...
No, it's... So it's and Brendan Dassey was so young, and he was
so
a minor,
impressionable.
So impressionable.
Yeah.
They like put him through it for days and days and days. It's ridiculous what happened to him. Adnan Syed, I think there is. I signed alongside a number of my exoneree buddies. We all signed a petition in order to get his case relooked at. Now,
when you say that, do you mean that he is that you believe that he's innocent, or you just think that he should be relooked at?
He deserves to have a new trial. I don't think that the evidence that was used to convict him was sufficient to find guilt. I think that it's only fair that someone is actually put through a justice process based on evidence that makes sense. And it's only then that we can all determine that. I would love to sit on a jury one day, but no one's ever going to put me on a jury. Like, no one's ever going to put me on a jury, and I would love to be on that jury.
Gosh, maybe, what if you knit a nice disguise? I bet you could go on.
I mean,
because, I think you'd be a good juror. I think you'd have probably a lot of, I bet you'd have a lot of questions probably, but I bet it would be good.
Oh, certainly. And I mean, I come from an experience, but that doesn't mean that I'm like biased towards innocence or guilt or anything. Like what I am biased about is like, I know how fucked up the system can be.
Yeah, you're like Amanda Dufresne. I just thought of that actually. Do we have anything else, Johnny?
All the Patreon we pretty much answered, but I just had one question.
Sure.
What was your day like when you found out that you were reconvicted? Like, you were in the U.S. Did you just like roll over to a text message? You're like, oh shit. Like, I'm just curious.
Oh God. The build up to that was really hard. It wasn't like, oh yeah, oh look at that, look at me.
Yeah.
There was, I think the more shocking moment for me was actually when the Supreme Court in Italy overturned my first acquittal. I was not expecting that. And so that was a phone call from my lawyer to give me the bad news and to let me know that I had to go through yet another trial. Because it wasn't just like, you know, an overturn of an acquittal. It means they sent me back to be retried again. And so I was retried again in absentia. They found me guilty, and so again, I have that phone call with my lawyer who tells me we're going to fight it. But I didn't know what that meant. Like, I suddenly had to start thinking about what extradition looked like and how I was going to, if Italy decided to, you know, if the Supreme Court in Italy was going to confirm that conviction, how I was going to turn myself in to the local authorities and make a case for, at the very least, serving my time in the U.S. so that my family, it wasn't such a burden on my family. I was living, yes, a lot of people like think, you know, 4 years in prison, but it was really 8 years of waiting to know if I was allowed to live again.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. What what a purgatory for like your growth and for your humanity.
Yeah, my 20s were this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm only 32 now, so it's weird. Like I'm weirdly very, very young in the real world, which means that I'm like stumbling around and trying to like figure out what being a real person is like. When
there's not much left of being a real person, so.
But
in other ways, I think we might be on a horizon of realizing the value of humanity again in some ways, and that's what I hope a lot of times.
I love what you're doing, because it sounds like you're coming from this like optimistic place of like, if I just sit with someone, we'll just be humans together, and isn't that great? Did everyone forget how cool that is? And like, I love that.
Thanks.
That's a really, really useful thing to do.
Yeah.
So
I think we try our best. You know, we learn as we go in here, you know.
Yeah.
We definitely try our best.
Have you had
thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
Have you had any contact with Meredith's family?
This is another question that I get a lot of. The answer to that question is, once again, it's complicated. I've written and sent a letter to them many years back, but what I have heard from their lawyer and in general is that they are not in a place to want to talk to me. Like in these situations, you have people who have gone through a terrible trauma, and they have an experience of me that, like, just the very being of me is a trigger for that trauma.
Yeah, it might just remind them of it, and there's nothing wrong with that or anything.
And so, like, when it comes to the Kircher family, I firmly believe that, like, they have, like, if it's not my position to force myself on them to be understood by them. If and when they want to have a relationship with me, I'm ready. And I'm ready to answer every hard question that they might have. I do think this is a whole thing about restorative justice, right? It's like coming to see how a crime, Meredith's murder, has impacted so many people, and like finding that common ground and finding a reconciliation and understanding. But like, you have to be ready and willing to like come to the table with that goal in mind. And until that happens, like, I can't force myself on them.
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of times in my own like issues and stuff, if I'm not like, I want to do something but I'm not ready, I'll pray for like willingness. You know, it's like I'll pray for like the step before the capability.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, just, you know, God, make me willing to do this, even because I want to. I'm having trouble getting to the action.
Yeah, that's the biggest, like, I think that's the biggest challenge, is like, a lot of people, like, they could do it if only they could like bring themselves to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Did you have faith? Did you struggle with faith? Did that come into your sentence at any point, like when you were by yourself or when you were in prison?
So I am an atheist, and
boo. No, it's okay. Everybody has their own experience with. I'm very hopeful that I'll try my best to have faith. You know.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and so is yours. Yours is okay. It's okay. I wish
well,
no, it's good.
you're like sad a little though.
Sorry, I'm a little sad probably, but it's probably just because of my own thoughts. It's probably somehow I'm projecting my own stuff.
Yeah, I wonder like what atheist, like what that word means to you, because I clearly do a lot of, or clearly, I guess maybe not clearly. I do a lot of self-reflection. I do a lot of meditation. I do a lot of thinking about my place in the world and my impact on people in the world. And those are all things that are really important to me. And one thing that's also really important to me is like, one thing that's very real to me is that I can't rely on the universe to like be good.
Right.
Like for me, there is no like the universe is good or bad. It's not any of those things. All it is existence. Existence is what it is. It's neutral. And we happen to be conscious, and we have concepts of like what makes something good or bad, like human suffering. Bad for me, bad for you, bad for everyone. We know that that's bad.
Yeah.
But it's not because it's inherently bad. It's not because someone decided or decreed that it was bad, or that the dogma decreed that it was bad. It's just that's how we experience things.
Right. We know it's bad.
We know it's bad, and we don't want that to happen to someone. We wouldn't want it. We wouldn't wish it upon ourselves. And like, so when I'm trying to find guidance, or when I'm looking for that willingness to do something, it's motivated with the understanding that like the only thing I can do in my like smallness and aloneness is try to like make connections with human beings, and try to like make as less suffering as possible, and as much like joy and growth as possible. And I have to find that in myself. And I know that like no one's writing me. No one's like telling me to do that. It's really just me in my head alone, figuring that out for myself. And that's a responsibility that I have to take. I feel responsible because I'm aware of myself.
Right.
And being aware of myself is like the first thing that I have to do as a conscious being.
Yeah. And it's still it's a fight for good. It's like we're on this. It's this equal. There's no judgment from the universe against us. You're saying, but we do know right from wrong. We do know how it feels anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and on our human scale, it's important.
It's important.
But in the big grand scheme of things, it's not.
Yeah.
But for us, it is. And like just because something in the big grand scheme of things is utterly meaningless doesn't mean that it isn't meaningful to us right now, because this is the level that we live on.
Right.
We don't live on cosmic levels.
Right. We don't live. There's not this eternal, it's right now.
Yeah, right now.
Well, I think the one thing I certainly agree with, it's like, I think that good is infectious,
Okay, yeah.
And so it's like, that it's a battle. Yeah, it is a battle. It's like, I can choose to battle for good or to not, and I think
the
we're trying
one thing
our
that I
best.
would push back on that is I don't like the term battle.
Okay.
Because battle means that there's an enemy. And I think that it's very, very easy to fall into this mindset when you have an enemy that you then find a target to be the object of your enemy. Whereas for me, I look at it as you're building something, you're creating something. We're always creating something. And what are you creating? What energy are you putting into it? It's going to exist in the world, and you're creating it. What is it going to do?
And I will say this, and my last move will be that you would know that from personal experience a lot better than I would, how when there's a lot of, energy that it can be targeted at someone. So
it's like kind of like that blame or forgiveness thing. It's like, that's not even like what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about like, what am I putting out into the world, and what is its impact?
Yeah.
It's a drop in an ocean. Like, what is that ripple effect?
Yeah.
So
I think we certainly agree on that. My last question is,